Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS Podcast, everyone. This is episode 284, and it feels like fall today here in Columbus, which is nice.
Woo-hoo.
Last week, we were sweating our asses off, and this week, it's very nice. Next week, it'll be 92 or 94 again, so looking forward to that. We have guests that are also experiencing some weird weather. We'll talk about that here momentarily, but I do want to thank you guys for tuning in and checking us out. We want to thank our sponsors here first and foremost, and we'll bring our special guests on the show. But Tinderbox at Easton in Columbus, Ohio, that's kind of where this is all based out of. And we are fortunate enough that they do carry this newer line of cigars, kind of not new anymore. The brand.
Okay, yeah.
It's still new. West Tampa Tobacco Company. And we are going to be smoking tonight. The featured cigar is the West Tampa Red. And in part two, we'll be smoking the black, which we have talked about before on the show. But check them out at Tinderbox at Easton. They carry the white, the black, the red, and what's left of the limited edition Attic. And that's available in Columbus, Ohio, like I said, at Tinderbox at Easton. They do also ship. So if your local brick and mortar does not carry West Tampa tobacco yet, first of all, talk to them. And second, until they get it on the shelves, check out Tinderbox at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. You can email, contact through Facebook, or give them a call. Alternus USA, we appreciate the support again for another year's sponsorship. Normally we do a second featured cigar from them. We've got Charlie and Travis coming on in a couple weeks from them as well, but you can see some great brands behind us: Monte Cristo, Romeo y Julieta, H. Upman, and Aging Room, along with others. And check them out at your local brick and mortar as well. Again, Altus USA, just a great portfolio of products. BS Cigar Company, the gold's made by Plasencia, the silver by Espinosa cigars. Those are available at the Tinderbox at Easton as well. So check them out, or stop by if you're in the area. If you guys happen to make it in March to the Smoking 10 event, you might meet our guests there live and in person, hopefully. If not, you'll be able to check out their cigars, some Altitude cigars, and BS Cigar Company cigars. Thank you guys at patreon.com/Bourbon and BS Podcast. Monthly contributions have been amazing. You can also do a one-time contribution at Venmo at Bourbon and BS. Helps us keep this thing going and getting special guests like tonight on the show. And if you like some of the swag we're wearing here tonight or other episodes, buyjack.com/Bourbon and BS for any of the shirts and swag. These are great for today. Not good for next week. I was sweating last week. I was a little aggressive with the 3/4 sleeve. So, but yeah, guys, thank you for all the support. And if you have any questions, always just on the comment feed. We stream live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night. And you can find the show on all the podcast apps after the fact, or you can always watch the video after the fact. So, guys, without further ado, we've got some special guests here. And let's bring them on. The faces of West Tampa Tobacco Company.
Live.
Welcome.
Live.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Sorry for the wordy intro here.
It's great.
It's gotta pay the bills, or at least help pay.
Give me a time to fix a drink. So thank you so much.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, you're welcome. That was our intention all along. But yeah, Rick Rodriguez and Sara Rodriguez. How are you guys?
Good. Survived the storm, so it missed us. So we're all happy right now. So.
Yeah, it kind of went north of you guys, right?
Yeah, it did. So good for us and bad for somebody else. But where it hit, a lot of people don't live in that area. So I think it's going to be good for us.
Yeah, I spoke with Rick. I don't know if he's going to join us tonight or not, but a friend of yours in the industry, Jonathan Herring, and he was in. He's been on the show before, as you know, with you, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But in the past, and he was in Tip City, Georgia, I think, which is right by Savannah.
Deep. That's deep.
Yeah, so we'll
southern state.
We'll see if he joins us or if he's getting blown away.
Yeah, I have some questions about that little trip.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, obviously we've smoked on here before, and Rick, you've been a part of the show many times. We appreciate that. But we've smoked the white and we featured the black on here before. You were in town, I think last that I know of, March of this year for the Smoking 10 event in Columbus.
Right. Exactly.
That night, we were featuring the white, the black, the attic at that 10 event, which is a big event for the Columbus area. And that sampler sold like crazy at the sales
It
table.
was a great
Everyone
event.
loved to see you. And you handed me and a few others that night. I didn't even know you handed it to me. I think I was just walking by and you like stuffed it in my pocket, but it was the red, and I lit it up thinking it was a black. Later in the evening, and I'm like smoking this thing. I was like, man, this thing is smoking bolder. Like this is something else. And I looked down at it and I was like, that son of a bitch gave me a red.
Right.
I was already like a quarter way through it. I was very confused. I did have a few drinks in me, so that does impact that a little bit. But yeah, let's talk about the red, or if you want to talk about one of the, like Sara, you were in the talks of possibly coming to that 10 event, but you were somewhere else back in March.
Yeah, I was training in Nicaragua at that time.
Yeah. So I know you guys have answered these questions before, but give us a little bit of background. Rick, you've been on here before. A lot of people know you. Not as many people know Sara. We haven't met before with anyone in Columbus. Hopefully we'll get you here sometime in the next year.
For sure.
Possibly the 10 event. But yeah, give us a little bit of background, I guess, Rick and Sara, on how this came to be. You know, not necessarily a little bit about West Tampa, but also where you guys are at now. I mean, is it a year?
14 months. Yeah.
14 months. Okay.
Yeah. So it seems like yesterday, and it seems like forever ago when we started West Tampa. And so Sara, myself, and Gus have been working on this project for now on maybe 2 years, 2.5 years. And so to bring in Sara to this company was something that we knew that we want to do, at first. And she can talk about what she, wanted to play their role. But, and then we launched, West Tampa. And we launched white and black at first. And then a year later, we launched the red. And the red is kind of that cigar that, the white and the black are great cigars for us. They rarely supported out to the market, but the red is getting the attention from people outside of the fan base of, the West Tampa, maybe even the old CAO days. So it is an honor for us to have this cigar that we can start to talk about in West Tampa more often and showcase what we're trying to do and deliver 3 unique cigars under one company.
Yeah.
Sara, you're next.
You're up.
Yeah. So, hi, everyone. I think this is my first live interview ever.
Really?
So, yeah. So this is. Well,
have you done any not live interviews? You've just done other interviews?
Oh, yeah.
I think I've done one podcast. So, yeah, this is like my first time doing this, hence why I don't have the background and the setup yet or the lighting. But
it looks great. You have behind you there, we noticed some little Tay-Tay action going on there, I believe.
Don't get me started on Taylor. I'll talk about it all night. So, yeah.
That's actually the part 2 topic is Taylor Swift and what does that mean for the world?
Maybe I'll bow out and I have a flight in the morning.
You two can go at no.
I went to 72 shows. No, I'm just kidding. Me and my dad came to visit me. I was living in Oregon last year, and he came to visit me and had like a dinner with me and started talking about opening a shop, and that was like the first option, and then was like, but what if I open like a whole brand and a whole company and everything? So we started talking about that. I had asked to be a part of the business for a long time because I'm a traveler, and I saw him traveling the world and doing all these kinds of things, and I was like, you're getting paid to travel, I'm paying to travel, so what are you doing? How do I get involved?
Good point.
And then we started talking about, he kind of told me more about my ancestors being rollers from Cuba, coming over to Tampa. And I feel like I knew, having Cuban blood and him being in the cigar industry, that was a part of my ancestry, but I didn't know the details. So I think that once he started explaining to me that my great grandparents came over from Cuba and were rollers. And I had lived in Nicaragua on and off for about 8 years at that point. And he has gone to Nicaragua multiple times, but we never crossed paths. We never really talked about Nicaragua. And he was like, we're going to open the factory in Nicaragua. So it's going to be your people your ancestors, your everything. And I was like, I don't smoke. Like, am I going to be able to do this? And we like really had a conversation about like where I fit in. And it was like, it's already in my blood. Like, even if I don't smoke, like rolling's in my blood, being around the tobacco fields are in my blood. Nicaragua's in my blood at this point because I randomly found it and had been living there for so long. So he told me I can help my Nicaraguan families. I can build schools down there. I can work with the women down there and all this kind of stuff. So I was in, and it started off, it's just been great. Like, I feel like I've been so welcome into the industry, especially not smoking. I haven't felt uncomfortable at all. I haven't felt out of place. It's just been so welcoming. And then when I went to go train for 3 months down in Nicaragua for the rolling and working with the factories every day, I was just like, this is it. And I met, our factory is 80 people. So compared to like these big factories that have 300, 400 workers, I was working one-on-one with every single worker in the factory for those 3 months. So I knew if they had kids, what their families were like, what's going on with that. So my heart is so involved with the behind the scenes of what you're smoking right now. People forget about it. Even the box makers, you don't even recognize that there's a person specifically made to put the screws on that box hinge. And that person is just as important as my dad, who's the blender. So that's where I've been. I've been doing a lot of events. Working with my dad is my favorite thing in the world. He's my best friend. I'm an only child. So we're really close, and it's been amazing for my family having my mom be able to come to things and be involved. So it's just been wonderful, and people are just, I feel like the world's kind of crazy right now, and what we get to do is the old school. It's this real family, real people to people. We suck at social media and technology. Me and my dad were like, I don't know, like, what do we post? You tell us.
You guys have been pretty good at it.
Well, we hired somebody because we were
yeah.
I would explain
Thank you, yeah.
So shout out Adam. So yeah.
Yeah.
That would explain.
We learned that people want this kind of family and real human to human relationship back again, and not just selling you something. So
Yeah,
right.
And the stories that we can share with them about your trips and all that. So again, guys, you have to realize, for Sara coming on board and as a lady, as a no cigar smoker, it's kind of, you have to have a powerful young lady to take that role on.
Yeah.
And to say, bro, my heart bleeds when you cut me. Tobacco, the history, the stories, my family, my DNA.
Yeah.
But the only thing I miss, and maybe it'll come to it like you. Every cigar smoker out there decided when they want to pick that cigar and smoke it. I don't care how much pressure on yourself from your family or friends. Smoke a cigar, smoke. If you're not ready, you're not ready. And
Right.
I think one day Sara will be ready, but she can definitely share the stories that we need to share out there with people, and they, get it.
Yeah.
Well, it is neat that you have that background, obviously. What were you doing, Sara, down in Nicaragua? You said you were on and off there for 8 years, but it had nothing to do necessarily with the tobacco.
How many
world.
countries? Let's go. How many? So you graduated college, the University of Florida, very easy for you, and you left. And
So
how many countries have you visited?
School for anthropology. I did an archaeology dig in the Philippines, and I was obsessed. I think I've been to 29 countries now.
Wow.
And Nicaragua was the first one I visited as like a solo, just explore. Like all my other trips were either like group trips or like kind of like the Philippines was with school. And then this one, we randomly went to Nicaragua in 2013. I fell in love and I moved back right when I graduated because I called my parents from Nicaragua. I said, I'm not coming home. And they said, 2 months left of school, you're coming home. We just paid for that entire thing. And I said, that's fine. I went, graduated, and moved back, and I ran a Canadian pub in Nicaragua.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait. A Canadian pub.
I didn't realize there were Canadians
Like
in Nicaragua.
Like Molson and Labatt.
It was
Well, the
literally
area you were living in, Sarah, was the surfing beach area.
called San Juan del Sur. It's like the expat kind of town.
Okay.
A Canadian came and opened a bar called the Loose Moose. I ran it, and I made Caesars all day, and and then I like worked hostels, hotels, tour guides, groups, anything, and traveled Central America, Europe, and Australia for 10 years.
Wow.
All over. Yeah.
So to come to Easton is not going to be a problem for her to come
I mean,
it's beautiful.
It's like a roll of the dice on the weather.
I've been there multiple times rolling that dice. You know,
it is. It's either like 60 degrees or
beautiful.
30.
It's beautiful.
It's prettier when it's sunny and warm, in my opinion. But we have fun either way. Yeah, but it is fun. Yeah, it's interesting to me. Rick, I think it was the last time he was on, he told us the story about how you really didn't smoke cigars when you first got in the industry either.
Right, exactly. My really first cigar experience was interviewing for the job. That was his first cigar I've ever smoked. And then after I got the job, they sent me samples and said, okay, I have to do this. And I wanted to do it. I don't know, but I did it, and that's the history. And when I got it in my blood, I remembered Benji later on said, the minute the tobacco beetle bites you, so many people go away from this industry, find themselves back in this industry. Like our partner Gus.
Yeah.
He's left this industry, and when we started to plan for this business, the first person I called was Gus, because I knew he understands the business side of this. Sarah and I can easily pick up the tobacco side of this, but we needed that other kind of foot in that travel. So, yeah.
Traveling, the people skills, because Rick, you don't really have great people skills after all these years, which I
exactly.
I mean, I figured you'd pick it up one of these times. One of these events, you'd like, people would like you, and you'd be willing to, hold a conversation. It's good that she got involved. I mean, just to kind of save you after so many years.
He sits in the corner, doesn't talk to anybody.
Wallflowers just don't make it in the industry, and I'm surprised that he's still around.
Remember, there's two people that really trained me about tobacco: Ernesto for his Creole and Benji. I could have easily chosen Ernesto to follow, meaning you are the guy that just sits there.
Yeah.
Smoke. That's it.
Yeah,
but I chose Benji, the entertainer. I love that. I love that guy.
I forget which event last I saw Ernesto at, but it was like later in the day too. So I think he was a little tired or whatever. He already said hi to a bunch of people.
No, I said the first time you see him in the morning, it's the same look. Tired.
He's just kind of standing there like doing this, and there was like two looked like bouncers in front of him. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah, man.
But talk to him one-on-one. He's the best guy in the world. He's such a humble guy, but he's not that showman. He's a tobacco guy. And those, this industry has the showman and the tobacco guys all through, this, industry.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, he's more like, hey, I'll be the face of the brand and the name, my name on the label, but I just want to make cigars.
Yeah,
I want to make cigars.
So who's leading their? So their company is her daughter.
Yep,
daughter's doing some great things. I mean, great things for that company.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the West Tampa Red, because people are already commenting on that here. I threw up one comment there, and then here's another one. The West Tampa Red is amazing from James out there. So we definitely have some people that have smoked this. Nate, is this your first time? Your face?
Probably my second. I probably smoked one after the 10 event.
We didn't have them right away.
No, but there were
Yeah.
some being handed out.
Okay. Okay.
So I think we launched that cigar now going on 2 months ago.
Mhm.
We really before these trade show, and but this cigar is first time that I have ever worked with anybody using the Mexican wrapper. So I can't believe all of my experience from CAO days. I never worked with that tobacco wrapper because we knew it was around and everybody loves it, but we never kind of worked with it. So the first time that Jose, the owner of Garmendia, the factory that I worked for, and I said, bro, we need to design a new cigar, for the series. And this is, I have access to this Mexican wrapper. Do you want to start to blend it with that? I said, bro, I would love that. And working with him and the team, we created West Tampa Red. Very simple. If you look at their makeup, it's the Nicaraguan fillers and binders and using that beautiful wrapper from Mexico.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, this is a very similar wrapper that you had used on that limited edition Attic, the first of the
Yes,
Attic series, right?
yes. And, something that, I've been sharing. You really didn't announce it out loud, but that Attic, the first Attic was a test run for us for that blend because we wanted to see, because we knew that we're only about 9 months to 10 months old, and already we're introducing a new a blend to the market. So before we put all the pressure on the shops to pick it up, how about this? Let's test a blend out there in the market so the shop can be able to buy 1, 2, 3 boxes. And so they did it. And the overwhelming response back for Attic was, okay, this is something special.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so we know the blend. Let's release it in the wild under the name Attic.
Is
Red.
Is this the same exact blend or is this a tweaked blend?
It's the same blend, but Sara, what do you have found out about the difference?
We figured that because Attic was rolled almost 6 to 7 months ago and aged and everything, it is going to taste different because Red was rolled maybe 2 months ago.
Okay.
So we're getting the super fresh. We're thinking also the different sizes. You know how different sizes kind of taste a little bit different and whatever. And so if you take probably the Toro Red,
that's what we're smoking tonight here.
Yeah, and age it just a little, maybe just do 4 months, you're gonna get that similar flavor to Attic.
Okay. Yeah. It definitely smokes, I think, a little bit different. So maybe that is the reason. I didn't know it was the exact same blend. I thought it was just the same wrapper and it was tweaked. But that's interesting.
Yeah.
And it's also, you have to think this was the beginning that we started working with this factory. And like I said, it's 80 people. Who knows if they were trying a little bit harder and they got a little lazier. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's hope not.
They're really making sure it's the best thing coming out at the beginning.
Sara and I can sleep like a baby. And I know the factory's family is sleeping with their eyes open because they're so concerned to deliver not only red, but white and black to do. What I am very proud of already is I just enjoyed a white earlier this day, and it's the same flavor that I was receiving for the first white batch. So this little company, this little factory, really is paying attention to the small details and not giving me already a different blend. This is not smoking like the original. And so I can only imagine what that red is going to do for this company.
Yeah, it's definitely a bolder smoke. I was going to have, for the second part, since we got you on, I grabbed the black just because I think we got almost the last 3 bundles of the Attic on a recent order from you guys. Yeah, Gus was going to send us 6 boxes, and he said, I don't have 6 boxes, so I sent you 3 bundles. So, but I didn't think, I love the white. It's just going from the red to the white while drinking. This bottle is about 130 proof. I didn't think that was going to go over very well.
There's no way.
Flavorful.
I wouldn't. For me, white is that first cigar, the cup of coffee cigar. the newspaper on Sunday morning cigar,
Mhm.
that's white for me. After anything I've eaten, like a burrito, a burger, steak, I would not choose a white. But
I don't know if I could go with
I-
a red after a burrito though. I think it's too much.
you got to be
Hot
kidding
sauce
me.
on
You
there.
got to be
Yeah,
Yeah, you
kidding
eat
me.
too much hot sauce.
I'd go maybe black after that.
Chicken.
You know?
But that's the best pairing for any cigar out there in the market, from
What?
medium, mild. It's fried chicken. It pairs with everything.
Right.
If you
Does
want
eat
to
a lot of
smoke,
I eat grilled
yeah.
chicken. more
oh
often.
yeah,
Fried.
no, you, bro, pony up,
All right.
man up, bro.
All right.
Fried
Next
chicken
cheat
for the
day. All right.
rest of
Next
your
cheat day.
And
life.
a
I'll hit
red
up.
light.
Look at his body and look at my body,
All right.
and say to yourself,
Just a lighting.
I choose. But
No,
you know, red was just given by you know, Cigar Aficionado a 93 rating.
I
So
didn't
that's
know
his
that.
second.
Congratulations.
That's his second highest rating I ever received. And so we were stunned.
Wow.
I knew that was a good cigar, but for that thin air rating, I'm just very proud of
Yeah.
West Tampa. Very proud of the factory, and they deserve everything. They deserve everything. My life right now is so easy. Easier than working with CL because I have Sara, I have Gus, I have the factory,
Mhm.
and I believe in this team, and it allows me to relax and do what I do best. Just entertain, share stories, and you know, blend a cigar or two if we can.
And I think
Yeah.
with the
Good.
Addict series too, which with West Tampa, is we really want to involve everybody. We want to
Yeah.
involve the fans and all that kind of stuff. So Addict series is going to be that kind of, you could call it a core line, but that's what we're going to test these blends and stuff, because we care about what, if you like it or not, before we just start launching all these core lines or like all these lines that are going to like stick. We want you to taste it. We want you to say, hey, taste this, and I didn't like this, and like kind of, you know, like we're listening. And
Yeah.
so because we got such a good response from the Addict one, that's why we made red. If we would have got a different response, we would have tweaked it. We would have changed it because of what you
Sure.
said, you know? So it's like, when these Addict series come out, we are trying our hardest to think of ways to make sure that we are getting your feedback to put into the lines that we can carry to make sure you guys are getting your favorite cigars.
Nice. I mean, that's a great way to do it. I've seen some other companies do that.
Yeah.
That's a tough road too. You know what I mean? Especially if
It
now
is.
the more you're out there, more you're doing shows like this, the events, if this becomes well known, I mean, that almost amps up on you guys the pressure that like we're gonna put this out and people know that, you know, this
But
is
also,
a trial
yeah,
run. Sometimes.
yeah, but also sometimes, because also there are going to be situations that we're offered tobacco. Oh, we only have 2 or 3 barrels of the tobacco that we aged for 30 years. Okay, introduce that. And so Addict will allow us to play it on different levels.
Yeah.
Sometimes we will do a kind of share with the fan base. And then sometimes it's unique tobacco. Sometimes maybe a unique size of a curtain blend. So here's a, like this one. If I can only show you what I'm talking about. Like, take for this sample a Lancero in red. Oh my
Yes.
God, it's so
Oh.
good.
Where's that at?
Maybe this is all fake. This is a piece of wood. I couldn't smoke that to save your life.
It's AI.
Wait a second.
But you know,
Even
so
has cellophane
sometimes
on
we're
it.
going to do that. So every time we launch a Addict series, you don't know the story until we share the story about that blend or that you know, a story that we're trying to share with you.
Yeah. What's how many days a year right now are you guys averaging on the road, each of you? Because you guys go separate places, correct?
Separate and together. Like we're just in Colorado together because that was a huge event. And,
Rocky Mountain,
so,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So Sara and I and you know, Susan, my wife, went there and do that event. So yeah. So again, at the beginning, it was more of, you know, Sara didn't have a voice until she went to train. So now she can step out and say, "Hey, bro, whatever my dad talked about is his stories.
Yeah.
Blending, and that's not my stories. I'm not going to repeat his stories. If you want to come to one of my events, I'll share what I'm learning with my journey and this business are going to the factory."
Or also the secret stories about him.
Right.
that nobody can
Behind
know.
the scenes.
Those are better.
Come to my events and you'll hear the real
Tell the stories that Ricky doesn't want to tell himself.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of stories. There's not a lot of stories out there.
I don't
I don't know. I think the first time we had you in the garage here, Ricky, it was you wanted to tell us about your first job, but we had to wait until after we stopped recording. And it was a very behind the scenes story. So,
Oh yeah.
there's some stories out there. I don't think Sarah's spreading that story either, but it was
Those stories I'll share when there's no phones around, no
right.
videos.
Yeah.
But who doesn't have those stories? Steve, come on.
I have stories.
You
I don't
have
have
them.
that story. I know that.
No, I don't want you to have my story.
Oh.
You're not Kramer. I'm selling
right.
my story to you.
Right. Sarah, do you have? I mean, what's the response been? Is it all positive? Do you get cigar guys and girls? I feel like sometimes. I mean, we get it on the retail side, even as you can imagine. Like that. Basically, it's like I don't know if you guys watch the show Parks and Rec. Like Ron Swanson walking into a Home Depot. It's like you walk up and. Like, hey, how can I help you today? How you doing today? It's like they have that kind of response of, I know more than you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, all right, cool, brother. Yeah. Well, look around. Let me know if I can, help you out. And it's almost like you see it in like their mannerisms. It's like they don't believe that I can help them out at all. And a lot of times, most of the times, it seems some of them do know a lot. A lot of them know a lot, but it's not always correct.
Yeah, they know enough just to be dangerous.
So I didn't know, like, what is it all positive so far? You said you were basically welcome with open arms, but do you get any of well, you don't smoke cigars, and I know this is probably a common question for you, but it's like, people I would think want to know, like, you don't smoke cigars. So what do you know about this?
Yeah. In all honesty, it has been positive. I think that my number one reason for being so accepted by especially the men and being a woman is they know who my dad is. So It's kind of this automatic, don't fucking
respect.
Say kind of thing.
Respect by proxy.
I work really close with Sisters of the Leaf, and we did an event in Chicago where it was the group of women kind of sharing their experiences. And of course, I don't have those because of who my dad is, but I will say if somebody is asking me why don't I smoke, it's never aggressive or in a way of like I don't trust you now. It's more of a curiosity of like you've been around this your whole life. How have you not kind of done it yet? And I think when I start sharing, where just I am and just like my own personality is like learning about things before I try it and all this kind of stuff, I think they're kind of thinking of either their wives or their daughters or something like that. And people are interested in the journey because I say I will, and I know I will smoke eventually. So I think it's kind of this, what's it going to take and how am I learning and what is the process of me learning as a woman to smoke? And especially working with Sisters of the Leaf, we thought for a long time, my first time is going to be smoking with my dad and he's going to train me and all this kind of stuff. But we're starting to get this idea. Maybe I get trained by women. Maybe I smoke my first time with women. So it's this experience. And so as West Tampa, especially, we are so in love with women. We just want more women involved in this industry. So it's kind of exciting to see like, how will I learn? What is this process? Or even for new smokers, me only being 31 and like introducing younger kind of people and just like, I'm open to sharing my entire experience. Like me going to the factories and seeing farmers and everything, that changed my mind after, 30 years of living with my dad. That was a whole new respect for tobacco because I was there. So I think once I smoke with women too, it's just going to be a whole different experience, and people are more interested. And again, that reality, that real life, this is what's happening. I'm not faking it. You don't see me with like photos of a lit cigar and people believe I smoke, or you know, then they wouldn't trust me even more. Like that was the first thing my dad said, because I started as a rep, and he was like, don't you dare go in and light a cigar. Don't even pretend, because they see you faking smoking. This is a whole nother, and it's the end. They'll never trust you.
I think a lot of times, and what's been really beneficial, Rick, for you over the years, as long as I've known you, is that it's people buy from people they like, and I think credibility goes a hell of a long way. You know, you can have the stories, and in the cigar industry, I mean, it's in the bourbon side too, because we cover bourbon in this. It's like there's real stories, there's real family history, and then there are the bullshit ones, and it doesn't last, right? It just doesn't, because with all the information out there online and everything else, and people talk, I mean, as soon as a rumor comes out or an article comes out that basically is a whistleblower on whatever the company is or whatever the story is, it's like all of a sudden you might still have some people that are like, well, I just still really like the cigars, so I'm going to keep smoking them. But more often than not, there is a personal identity with what you're smoking, what you're drinking, the further you get into a hobby or a lifestyle. So I think, I mean, that's great advice to just roll with it at your own pace, figure it out. I mean, as far as, you know, you could even do, I mean, I'm just thinking as you're talking is one of those, like a women's trip, like a Sister of the Leaf, down to the factory, and you basically, you know, lead kind of blending a cigar. I mean, and smoking the fumas or the puritos or whatever you want to call them, and like learning what, you know, Criollo tastes like, what Corojo tastes like, all the different seeds, the different primings, all that stuff, and just, I mean, just going in, not smoking a finished product.
Anybody
crazy. There's so many potential things there.
Yeah. So anybody's watching the show, who would vote for this opportunity to have access to everything that Sara wants to experience already or in the future? And all she said, hey, I want to go and smoke fumas. In Nicaragua, she has access. So I think she realizes, she can speak for herself, but through our conversations, what she has, what she doesn't want to fuck up. You know, so I just want to be true to not only West Tampa for myself, I cannot pretend to be somebody I'm not. And I cannot sell a cigar, like I said all the time. If I do not believe in that blend, I don't care how much you want me to sell. I can't stand in front of anybody and lie. I can't. And so for us to ask her, kind of pretend you smoke, just play the game, it's not going to last. It is not going to last.
Well, I don't know who was it. Adam, your social media person, and what was his name?
Adam,
Adam. How good is he at creating like a YouTube channel? Because that would absolutely be a cool, like,
it's in the talk for sure.
Oh, there you go.
Or Netflix, anybody need Netflix?
Netflix, if you want to go big out of the gate, all right, whatever. I don't know.
Documentary, baby, let's go.
That would be something. That would be a big first step if you ended up with a Netflix special. That would be something.
You never know. You never know.
You don't. So Nate, what do you think of this cigar? You said you think you smoked one before. You made a comment even on the feed earlier.
Yeah, so I remember back when we had the white and black, and I remember going into that just because based on what I like to smoke. I remember going into that thinking that the black was going to be my favorite between the two, and smoking them back to back, I actually realized I like the white label more. And I even told Ricky, like, it reminded me of Monte Cristo white.
Yeah.
You know, just
good company. Good company.
Yeah. So, you know, smoking this one, as soon as I lit it up, like, this is one of the few cigars that right off the rip, I'm like, okay, this one's got some balls to it. This one is more in my profile and wheelhouse that I like to smoke. This one's got a lot of flavor, nice little spice to it that just kind of sits on your palate for a long time.
It's a long finish with that spice.
It is. And then the retrohale, holy cow. It's
Yeah.
It's bold. It's bold.
Mhm.
There's a lot going on with it. Super flavorful, not an overpowering cigar in terms of the strength of the cigar, but just
Thank you.
just an
Thank you.
abundance of flavor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm.
I think that's what I've noticed so far with your guys is I think the core line, right? The white, the black, and the red.
Mhm.
And I think we talked about it before. It's all about the flavor. And I
Mhm.
think that's pretty important. I think you guys came in, and obviously Ricky, with your background with CAO, especially that time you had there, it's kind of like you see the trends over the last decade or two, and they're constantly changing. But I think some of the most successful ones right now, I think the cigar boom, and then after the fact and everything, it's like it's really come back to the flavor of it.
For
You're
sure.
not looking for the
For
nicotine drip. You're not looking
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the super mild. I mean, and I've seen some companies more recently try to go back to some of that. So and so is doing this and really successful, so I'm going to just basically imitate them and hope for the same thing. And I don't think that's really always panning out. So the fact that you're going for flavor, that my impression is you guys are going mostly for flavor on this.
For sure.
More than anything, but you do still have to kind of fill those niche spots of, oh, this is our mild, this is our medium, this is our full, but it's
Right.
it's interesting.
Is for us, when we're looking at line, it's not kind of the purpose of mild, medium, full-bodied cigars. It's can we deliver a cigar with a lot of flavor that will kind of capture the heart of this kind of smoker and this kind of smoker. So we're always thinking about flavor over body. Body is so easy to create, and so for us, it's about the flavor. And so that's the reason we kind of tend to get after this. What's the body, bro? I've heard that white has been rated mild to medium plus.
Yeah.
Okay. So who's right and wrong? The mild or medium plus guy? They're all right. Did you go, bro? Their flavor. I want to come back to that.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's it. All I want to hear.
Yeah.
And
John,
the cat. And I want to hear the cat a little bit more.
Do you guys mind if I go now and you talk cigars?
No, what's the cat's
Yeah,
name?
yeah,
Let's hear.
Yeah,
Who do we got?
Marley.
He's just
Oh, he's
sorry.
he's
I've
hungry.
been gone. But do you have any more questions for me, and I'll sign out and you guys talk the boys stuff?
No, we're not talking boy stuff. I just wanted to, before you go, we do have a couple of people in the garage behind the camera. If we're not, there you go. And I wanted to have you guys hear what they're smoking the red as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll stay on. I'm not saying for both of us.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Ricky, it's Sean. I met you at the Smoking Tent event. You were so kind enough to give me one of the red cigars too, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank
What do you
you.
think of it?
Or do you enjoy it?
I love it. It's
Bro.
it's we agree it's pretty much a full body cigar.
Right.
I would classify it push and full.
Yeah, it's got
Okay.
a great taste on the palate, but the retrohale it's just got, I don't know, to me it's got like a campfire feel on the retrohale, and it just given the weather we have right now being almost like fall type weather, it's very
That's a
fitting.
good point.
It's a very good fall weather cigar.
Yeah, for sure. So I like the range you have in your with all your cigars that you have, all the way from like medium to full. So everyone's different, very unique. So I do love that as a part of the cigar. So I got a sample pack from you at the 10 event, and I really enjoyed all of them. But this one in particular, I really enjoyed, and I'll definitely come back and get another one.
Thank you. Thank you so much, because that's exactly what we want. We know that we now have 3 separate blends in the market, and all we want to do is to elect 1 or 2, possibly 3, but we're happy with 1. If West Tampa can give you 1 cigar that you want to smoke every week, and it has to be the white, the black, or the red, that's all that we need, and that's all we want to do. Really, is all we want to do.
All right. Well, Sara, if you need to go, we understand. And
Right.
we don't mind. I've had my dog on the podcast before. It's pretty laid back.
Good
And
night, girl.
thank you guys so
Yeah,
much.
thank you for joining us.
Yes, of course. Lovely to meet you, and I'll see you all soon.
All right, take care.
All right.
Care.
To piggyback off what
All right. So now the truth. Wow, it is so tough to work with family. It is
I hope
so
she's
tough.
still tuned in.
But no, it is. It's a learning process because I remember the first time that Sara and I got in the car together to drive to a shop, and I said something like, "You just got back to Tampa. Have you hooked up a date or?" And she said, "Stop, stop, stop. Are we going to drive together to work? Are you going to be dad or boss? Because I am not going to drive with you if it's dad driving with me." And I had to learn. So we don't talk about personal from 8 o'clock until 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty constructive way to do it, though.
But it's hard, bro. It's hard because
Sure.
you want to, your input, every email that we get together. This is the way I would respond. But that's 30 years in the business. Let
Yeah.
her respond the way you responded 30 years ago.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, I got just a quick kind of recap of your career. I mean, did you have a lot of direct reports at any time, or were you more on what you were doing, like with the CAO days and before, like where you were kind of, you didn't really have a team that you were managing, right? So, I mean, there's a little bit
No.
differences, right?
No.
So now it's like you're managing a team. You're kind of the head of it all. So I would imagine that's a kind of a newer business life for you as well. I mean, it's you're
for sure.
you're co-founder, right, with Gus, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Right. Exactly.
So I mean, you've got that, but it's like not only your role in the industry, it was never really like dealing with a lot of direct reports and trying to coach that side of the business. And then now all of a sudden, not only do you have it's your daughter, you're trying to see her succeed. And at the same time, you're trying to I don't know, I would imagine you're trying to find what your management style is, and
for sure, or where it fit. Where do I fit? Because again, I was head of sales. Bro, is that my duty to sell cigars? And so, Gus, I'll do that. And so it's kind of fitting the right peg in the right kind of shape.
Yeah.
Because again, you have to rely on your team. And so what I'm doing now is kind of overseeing high altitudes and allow, Gus to run the company, for Sara to pick up more of the responsibility to be the face of the company, and then talk to the factory, allow them to do, and I kind of oversee everything. But it is different because you go, CEO, hey, my meetings go like this.
Yeah.
Hey, I want a box that lights up. 3 months later, I was shown that box. How that happened, who they had to connect with, how do we get this delivered to us? I don't have a clue. Now I have to have a clue to everything.
Yeah.
Who's making our band? Who's making the box? How we are buying this tobacco? Where are we going to buy the tobacco from? And the production of the line. So it's a lot to overcome, but I'm happy. I really are happy because I needed that challenge because I was kind of on that wheel, just doing the same thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, and again, there were times I remember back in your previous steps and you're still going to have your frustrations, but sometimes you also were answering to people and doing things, necessarily that it's like, you may not always agree with the approach, and you're not looking for an "I told you so," but there are those moments. I wanted to talk about the West Tampa Red, the band. We talked about this the last time I think we had you on. It's a very elegant band. It looks like kind of that Currency, like we talked about.
Exactly.
And this red is a unique red color.
It's almost a burgundy color because we didn't want that fire engine red when we got the box delivered. It reminded me of maybe Sopranos. That fire engine red. So, bro, just again, simple. It's really about West Tampa. We had to say, okay, when I order, what do I order? 1, 2, or 3? Oh, you know what? Red, white, and black. And in the future, you'll see us kind of going away from the core or the foundation line and name it something else. And then buy, West Tampa. But West Tampa, I don't think in our future it's going to be introductory for green or purple, a yellow. It's just kind of foundation. We knew we wanted 3 full-time lines and in 1 year. So that's the way we did it.
I mean, these are your original blends. I mean, that's where you're at with it. No, I mean, I've been, I was really happy that we were able to get them in Tinderbox at Easton. I know you guys being a newer company, for those that don't know the behind the scenes of all that stuff, but there's a lot of different aspects of the business getting these cigars to you as consumers. And one of which with dealing with Ohio is dealing with what the state of Ohio needs and how to distribute to that state. And you're dealing with all the different states, and some of them are easier, some are more difficult. Ohio's obviously more difficult, but it is interesting to see you guys. There were a couple other over the, my short, a little over 10 years now, almost 11 years of the industry is seeing that from the business side of like what it takes when people are like, okay, so how do I get in Ohio? I don't understand what the obstacle is. Like, you want to order them. And it's been I'm very excited that you guys were able to work that out and get on the shelves in the state of Ohio, because I know it's one of the more difficult ones to do. And talking with Gus over those times, I'd text him. I'm like, hey, this is what we need. And he's like, I don't know what that is. So I was like going back and forth. And so it's been great to see you guys. What is the current, if you know off the top of your head, or at least ballpark, what's the current number of accounts and number of countries that West Tampa Tobacco is in? Because I know last time when you said it on the show, it was pretty staggering at that moment. Do you have any idea of where you're at?
Oh, yeah, for sure. 14 months later, we're in over 440 doors in the U.S., and we're in, I think now, and he's correcting me all the time, I think 36 countries globally.
That's fantastic.
The growth has been
unbelievable.
In 14 months. It's unbelievable. And so it started with, I wanted to support Ricky. That lasted us for about 3 months. And then they started to receive the cigars. And I wrote, okay, these happen to be good cigars, and I can sell them. And so for the last 6 months, we have opened accounts and countries through, okay, what is this West Tampa? We're interested in West Tampa because a lot of people are demanding West Tampa. So Gone is supporting Ricky, and we wanted that at the beginning, because it's not about me, it's about West Tampa. So the quicker we can release from the mothership, Ricky, better for our company. And so the growth has been unbelievable. And so we need to now control our growth for one reason, is because you guys, that when you say to me it's more of the problem in dealing with your state and Ohio, that's Gus's problem. He'll figure that out. For me, it's always in the space, the apartment complex you guys run, and that I knew how valuable your space is, and especially your shop. It's not a huge shop.
Right.
So, Ricky, we want to support you, but I have to cut off somebody else. And that's kind of like, for me, when I talk to you, it's not about how hard it was to deal with Ohio. It was like, bro, thank you, because I know how valuable your space is. And it has to go beyond, I want to support you, Ricky. You have to have a good cigar. At the end of the day, you have to have a good cigar.
Yeah, I think, like you said, knowing that and trying to support Rick Rodriguez is one thing. But yeah, that's good for the first buy, right? I mean,
exactly.
Put up some of the comments on the feed so far. For those that are listening live, those that aren't, check us out every Wednesday. But they're saying, love West Tampa, the red's fire. Someone said something about the white and the black. I mean, it's like there's definitely been some positive feedback on that. So yeah, it does matter. Once you light it up, does it actually have, staying power? And so far, I mean, it shows, right? I mean, you got a lot of repeat buyers, a lot of repeat orders, and that's what's going to make the future happen. Obviously, with what's the next attic going to be? What's the next main line going to be?
Well, let's talk about that because of what's coming, in the future. And so there is a 2 projects that we're going to end up delivering this year, and one is going to be a fresh pack of just 5 cigars that you can easily sell, and it would be, I think, a sample of 2 red, 2 white, and 1 black. It's going to be the sample pack. And then we have another project that we're going to release called Boliche Boulevard. And this Boliche is a Cuban style roast. And if you visit West Tampa, and if you say, where do I eat? I'm just visiting West Tampa, whatever. Oh, you go to Boliche Boulevard. Really is Columbus Drive. But everybody in Tampa knows this avenue as the restaurant row of Cuban style restaurants. And so we're going to release this in a 50 count box. So we're only making about 500 of these boxes. This is a cigar that we purchased at the beginning of West Tampa. And we've just been babysitting the cigar for over a year. And we're going to deliver it. So 50 count boxes is 6 by 60 size. And it's going to come out in the market. We'll approach you, Steve, in about maybe the end of September for delivery at the mid or beginning of October.
Wow. Yeah. You said 55 count boxes?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's gonna be a
one
big
and done.
60s.
It's going to be a big box, but it's one and done. It's gone forever.
Yeah.
But when you smoke the cigar, you're going to say, I want it back. We can't deliver it back to you, but we can't. Because you have to realize, like we talked about earlier about the bread, only 2 or 3 months of aging really does something to that cigar.
Sure.
So this cigar has been aging for about 14 months.
Oh, wow.
Before you got it. So it's going to be hard for me to roll a cigar, bury it for 14 months, deliver it again.
Oh, absolutely. Just, from a business standpoint,
right.
That's really.
But we can create an open sets.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, buy it. You need to age it for 3 months, 6 months to really enjoy it.
All right. Shots fired. Shots fired. You can't even get them anymore, so that's not a big issue. The people that do have them, or the shops that do have them, I feel like they're overcharging for them. That's why they're sitting there. So they might actually have age on them because they charge too much for them. I don't know.
Right.
Ricky, before we get into the ratings, do you mind if we talk about this bottle that we're drinking?
No, please, for sure.
This is a special bottle, and in fact, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to put us a little bit bigger for this part because we're really fortunate to have this bottle. Is that cool? I hate to put you in the background.
Perfect. No, for sure.
All right, so keep you on the screen, obviously. So this Watershed Distillery bottle here that we have in front of us, we'll be posting some more pictures this week. This is a very special one. OHLQ is the Ohio Liquor Department. And they do barrel picks, and Watershed Distillery is based out of Columbus, Ohio, where we are. And they did something different with this one. This is basically they released to the public in a press release recently on the 28th. So that would have been Monday, I believe it was, that they're releasing 7 barrel picks, all different profiles. They kind of gave a breakdown of it all. Do you have all of them on there?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you rattle them off in just a second. This bottle, though, they're doing something different. This is also going to be in the wild, and when I say that, I mean it's going to be available in Ohio, but you don't know where it's going to be available in any of these. This is the 8th bottle that's being released, and this one's called Casper. Kind of fitting, kind of like a ghost bottle, right?
Yes.
So they haven't even publicly released this bottle information yet. But Nate, if you want to really quick kind of rattle through the 7 that are publicly known.
Yeah, the 7 that they came, and these all range between 128.2 and 131.1 proof. The Casper that we have is 130, but you have Campfire Bonbon, Caramel Cream Delight, Honey Pot, Malted Heaven, Plum Crazy, Scrumptious Brown Sugar, and Stone Fruit Nectar. And on Monday, like Steve said, OHLQ as well as Watershed sent out an email about these bottles being available. And at Carfagna's, we actually received ours last Friday. However, we have a special event on this Friday from 3 to 5. Greg Lehman, the founder, will be at our store signing bottles. Well, because we already got the bottles in and scanned them in, OHLQ updated their website. So it shows that we have these bottles. It doesn't say which ones we have. I do know we have at least 3 of the 7. But immediately within an hour, people were coming into the store going, hey, you guys got the Watershed single barrels? Like Friday. We'll have them Friday because, one, the state told us that we can't sell them until Friday, and the state will find out if we do. But it would be a really dick move if we sold out and had no bottles when Greg's there doing bottles.
Right, yeah, and they probably will sell. But I will say that they are available at other Ohio liquor agencies as we speak. So for those listening live, this is some insight. For those after the fact, we'll try to get this posted. I'm going to take this clip and try to get it out there as well. The 8th bottle Casper, just so you guys know, kind of like as they call it, the nerdy points. Yeah. This is coming in at 130.2 proof. And this was the final barrel of bourbon from their 2017 stocks, meaning that this is the oldest single barrel of straight bourbon that they've ever released to date.
Yeah.
This is a char number 5. Char number 5. And the mash bill is 72% corn, 21% rye, and 7% malted barley.
Yeah. So for those that are familiar with Watershed, when they first started out, they were doing a 5-grain mash bill. And one of that grains in it was that Ohio Spelt, which it had a really unique flavor profile, but it wasn't everyone's cup of tea.
Right.
In 2017, Greg decided to change it to a 3-ingredient mash bill. So 2017 was the first year that they started distilling this mash.
And then this is a single barrel from that year.
This is the last barrel from that year.
So this is a very special one, again, called Casper. I'll give you want to give your notes on it?
Go ahead.
You want to? Sean, go ahead. We'll get one of our audience members. And again, for those that are just watching this clip, after the fact, when I cut this clip, we stream live every Wednesday night, and we have some live audience, and we have some in the garage and also online. So Sean, go ahead.
Yeah. This is a very unique bottle. This I get on the palate like almost buttery butterscotch. Like it's like real creamy butterscotch. And on the like more than I've ever, like usually it's like, oh, it's kind of subtle. This is like, holy shit, there it is. And also on the back, on the finish, I definitely get like the plum or the fruit. But man, on the palate, it's like I had to take a couple sips to make sure I was tasting it right. It was like that distinct.
There's almost like a cherry on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're pretty spot on that based on their notes. I was going to say I get a lot of that kind of like you say, like the butterscotch or whatever. Definitely. And it says it in here, so I'm a little bit biased. So I just looked it over. But I mean, it does have like brown sugar, a little molasses, brown sugar.
Yeah. On the nose, though.
The nose, yeah.
Like the nose is what really caught me off guard initially, because I was thinking, okay, 130 proof, going to be very ethanol heavy on the nose, but there was a lot of nice caramel and vanilla on the nose, and little fruit as well. So, and this, 130 is up there for a lot of single barrels, although
it is very drinkable.
It is. Well, and if you remember, I used to have a Watershed single barrel that came in at 142.
Correct.
And that kind of scared the shit out of some people that I shared that bottle with. I even shared it with the owner of the tinderbox, and he absolutely loved it.
Yeah. But sticking with this bottle, for the clip, right? Like for I'm trying to make sure that everyone knows. I'll give you guys their points here. And I think it's pretty spot on. Brown sugar, dried plum, apple skins on the nose. They say, confectioner's sugar, ripe strawberry, soft, subtle oak finish. And then again, that sugar, cherry, and coffee cake finish on the finish for them. I think it's got a nice spice to it.
There's a long lingering spice on that finish too.
I think there's a lot of spice. I don't really talk about that a whole lot. I think there is a lot of that kind of cherry, the fruit that Sean was talking about. What surprises me about this Casper bottle is that it is at 130.2 proof. It is extremely drinkable, and it's a little tricky because it's an easy one to keep kind of sipping on, and it'll catch up to you. But if you guys see this out,
water dropper, would you?
If you guys see this out in the wild, definitely grab this. Coming in at $59.99, I believe.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about Watershed single barrels. So whether you're doing a barrel pick or whether it's something that Watershed is picking, all of their single barrels come in at $59.99.
Yeah,
doesn't matter the proof, doesn't matter how old it is. That's what they've been putting out. So to get some of these barrel picks, which Steve and I have been a part of with Watershed in the past, doing some media stuff with them, like their barrel picks are just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't know if we have the Casper bottle. I'm hoping we do.
If you do, grab it. Because we've got one right here, and I don't think we're going to finish it tonight. Maybe we will. Probably shouldn't. But so guys, check it out. I put it up on the screen there. Watershed Distillery, OHLQ pick, the Casper bottle, and then you've got 7 others to choose from. You can find the information on what their notes are on the other 7 online. They'll have that up there, what you guys are looking at. But I will say, you said the single barrels from them are great. OHLQ, the team is fantastic picking them, and we're not just blowing smoke here. It is something that the longer this distillery has been around, the cooler things that are happening from it. So this is no different in any way. And for that, I'll say cheers on that. And then for those that aren't familiar with our show and you're just watching this because Watershed, I'm going to bring him back up on the screen. Check out West Tampa Tobacco Company with Rick Rodriguez. We're smoking the West Tampa Red on our show tonight, and we pair bottles and cigars, and we're lucky enough to have Rick Rodriguez, co-founder of West Tampa Tobacco Company. So check his stuff out as well. And that's available also locally here in Columbus, Tinderbox at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. So check out Tinderbox and you can grab some of those cigars. If you guys are looking for the Watershed OHLQ barrel picks, Nate works at Carfagna's up in the Polaris area. So check it out there while they last. And it was Friday
from 3 to 5. So the bottles will not be available to purchase until 3 o'clock. Greg will be there, as will one of their sales reps. He'll be signing bottles. Like I said, we've got, I know for sure, 3 of them. Yeah, I saw it. Greg's been practicing his signature.
Amy says Greg's been practicing his signature. So it should look great. But yeah, great guy. So check it out. And guys, cheers. That's where I'll cut the clip and we'll just continue on with our show. Thank you, Rick, for being here.
It's
a cool project, so we're honored.
No, it does pair well with the red.
I was going to get into that. I'll start with the rating.
Yeah, we'll do this. Yeah, how about this? We'll get into that. So as we get into this, the end of part 1 here, we do the rating. So we do the whiskey, the cigar, and the pairing.
Get the whiskey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Continue.
So yeah, rate the whiskey here. Sean, you want to rate it? Kyle, you're going to keep sitting there?
The whiskey, just because it's so unique, I'm giving it a 9. I mean, that's one of those, like, I had no idea it was 137. I never would have guessed
130.2.
130.2.
Wow.
Even that, I still wouldn't have guessed it would be that high. It's that good. 9 for that. And then the cigar, I'll give that a 9 as well. I really enjoy the just the flavor on the palate and the retrohale, like I mentioned earlier. It's really good. And I'll do an 8.5 for the combination. Just because, I mean, it's you got the strength of the cigar, and even though it's supposedly a stronger whiskey, it still has a drinkable thing to it. So that's why I give it the 8.5. So
yeah, thank you. Nate, go ahead with your ratings.
On the whiskey, yeah, I'm definitely a 9. I'm a big fan of the Watershed bourbons that they put out. The Bottled and Bond, I think, is an absolutely fantastic everyday kind of bottle. But I've been a huge fan of their single barrels. I've gone through quite a few of them. I've finished a couple of them off recently. But yeah, I love the flavor on this one, and you guys are right. It doesn't drink like it's 130. If we were playing the drinking game like what we used to at the Tinderbox,
no way.
Yeah, you guys, even Josh would be going low on this one. You guys would probably
be tough one to pick.
Yeah, you guys would probably be in that 115, 120. But it's super drinkable.
Yeah,
and even throwing a few drops in it, like it just brings out a little bit more bread notes for me that I don't get initially. But yeah, so I think it's a fantastic bottle. I'm sure all of the single barrels that are coming out this week are going to be great. Ryan, their cask manager, said that Caramel Cream Delight is a hitter. So, but yeah, there's 7. I wonder if they're.
Amy says to Ryan, is that your favorite? She's here for the stone fruit nectar.
We'll see. I haven't had any of the other 7. So we'll see if I'm able to grab one of those Friday before I leave the store, because I got to leave basically right when the event starts.
Okay.
As far as the cigar, I'm a 9 on this. So I had said when we did the white and black that the white was my favorite of those two. And I think what was great about that one is people don't realize how hard it is to make a very flavorful, lighter bodied cigar. And even though I think we kind of put that white label kind of in that low end to medium range, it's super flavorful. It's got more flavor than it does body. And it's a great smoke. This one, though, is more up my alley. It's bold, a lot of flavor, but it's still smooth. Like it's not brash, it's not harsh, it's not bitter. Just a bold, flavorful cigar. It's got some kick, but it's not overpowering. But the flavor on it is just absolutely amazing. And then as far as the pairing, I'm a 9 on the pairing as well, because
wow,
when I smoked the cigar, because we've had episodes in the past where we've smoked some full body cigars and then some high proof whiskeys, and sometimes they just battle each other and it's too much for the palate, too much spice, and they just kind of clash. This one, however, when I go and we've talked about before where sometimes you go from the cigar to the whiskey and how it can help. Cigar to whiskey, all of a sudden some of that sweetness and fruitiness of the whiskey gets highlighted as soon as you take a sip. So going to the cigar, as much flavor and spice, as bold as this cigar is, you would think that going to the whiskey, all of a sudden that ethanol burn might come out more. It's the other way for me. It's the fruitiness and sweetness of this whiskey is highlighted even more. So
especially after a couple of drops like you and I did.
Yeah. So I think even though both of these are very bold and full body offerings, they go really well together, which is a tough thing to do sometimes.
It is. I mean, again, with they're both flavor bombs, in my opinion. Rumor has it, we just got a message that people may or may not be able to try all of the OHLQ picks at their Watershed bottle shop. Rumor has it, may or may not.
Yeah, they may keep a few bottles back for themselves.
Nice. So for me, the whiskey, I'm right with you guys. This is a treat. We're very honored that Watershed included us with this the 8th bottle, ghost bottle, or whatever you want to call it, the Casper. We're thrilled to be on their list for that. We would be honest with you if it's not our favorite. This is a solid bottle. It's a flavor bomb. Interested to try some of the other ones. That's some of the fun part about doing the fact that they did 8 different barrel picks from the same distillery, and they picked, obviously, being single barrels and different. I mean, I'm assuming different ages and everything like that. Because I mean, even on the bottle it says aged 4 years, which is the minimum. But
it's that way they don't have to change the label.
That we know this one's a lot older than that. But just an interesting project, fantastic project. But I'll give it a 9 as well. I think this is it's just, again, I keep saying flavor bomb, and it's just really, really enjoyable. Already gave some of the notes on it, but I just took my first sip with 2 small drops of water in it, and it didn't lighten it up, but it actually gave it a little even more balance and did give it a little bit more of the fruit to it, in my opinion. So it's very flavorful. The West Tampa Tobacco Red. I'm with you guys, not just because Ricky's on here. I mean, this cigar, I will say, is not for everybody because it does pack a punch. This is not, if you enjoy the white, you may or may not enjoy the red, which is understandable. I mean, you know, Ricky, you got this portfolio already that you're hitting different palates, and some people will enjoy all of them if they smoke mild, medium, full, whatever it is. This one does, especially if you retrohale. This one does keep kind of giving me that there's a little black pepper. Sean in the audience, I know you said like campfire. It's not like a Drew Estate KFC where it's like you're sitting in a campfire, but it is like being around a campfire. There's a smokiness to it that just really is pleasant and enjoyable, and also that spice that lingers. And again, I've smoked them obviously before tonight. I do think this is a bolder flavor profile from West Tampa. That's I'm with Nate. It is more up my alley. I mean, I talked about it before on here. The white, just to highlight them, the white is also a flavor bomb, but it's a little bit lighter. Ricky, you were saying that's great in the morning if you guys you smoke cigars multiple times of the day. The black is a solid medium Nicaraguan smoke. It's I think the black is your workhorse, right? I mean, if I were to,
it's amazing.
It's your workhorse. I'm not going to say I guess when I say this, it's not like that. It's not that it's like nothing special, but it's just like it's a solid medium bodied to me, all Nicaraguan smoke that smokes well. Construction's there, and again, it's your workhorse. If you're looking for a good cigar, that's it. The red, you step up. This is all of a sudden like, you know, Nate's expression in the beginning of the show was very accurate. Like someone might have the white and the black. Well, let's see what the red's about. And it's like all of a sudden like, oh, Jesus, this thing is, as Nate said in his words, this thing's got some balls, and it does. But the construction's been great every time I've smoked it. I am partial to the 6x52 Toro. The 5x50 is a firecracker for sure. I think it amps it up even more. So I'm not a 6x60 guy. I can appreciate you keeping the SKUs kind of constricted to like I got a Robusto, a Toro, and a 60. I would love to try. Was that a red in a Lancero?
Yeah, bro.
That's got to be a firecracker too.
It's great. It's great.
Jesus.
Maybe we can exchange numbers.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, if we're lucky. But I will say the pairing, I'm with you guys on that. I'm up there 8.5, 9. I mean, again, not for everyone. It's a lot of flavor going on. They do complement each other going back, as Nate, you know, we started doing that in more recent months where it's the whiskey to the cigar, cigar to the whiskey. These stand up to each other, and the flavors really, I would say they complement each other. I think going either way, to me, they stand up that you're tasting the cigar almost to its pure flavor. And going back to the whiskey, it's much the same. I don't think it really draws anything away from the other. I also think that it might tweak it a little bit. But I mean, as you're doing this, as you're having a glass or two, and you know this cigar has smoked now, even though we're talking for a 6x52, you're almost done with it. We're an hour and 20 from smoking this thing, so that speaks to the construction as well. That this thing has lasted well over an hour at a 6x52, and the price point's right for you guys out there. I mean, this is coming in, what is it, $9 to $11 basically, or something like that, depending on size. Average price cigars, check them out for sure. And that being
across the board, because we knew that when you have a multiple kind of blends, that range sometimes affects your price point. And so we elected to say, why are we going to penalize X if he likes Z? And so what we did was plan, okay, every West Tampa from white to black to red is the same price point, even though they are different in what we receive for the tobacco, but this is what we wanted to do. Because we didn't want to penalize anybody to enjoy the red over the white.
Yeah, I think that consistency is key. You know, I mean, if you have to tweak it a little bit here or there, that because we do see that, same cigar, but this is the Habano, this is the Maduro, and then all of a sudden it's like the Maduro or the whichever side of it is like, oh yeah, it comes in. The MSRP is like even 50 cents difference. Well, it's like now you throw in tobacco tax, you throw in different sizes, and you're like, well, that's confusing to a consumer sometimes, and you have to explain it. Well, like, why is this one more? It's like because they charge us more, so we have to charge you more. Like there's, whatever you want to say. So, what do you rate the West Tampa Red, Ricky, out of 10? 10 being the best.
Again, I would agree with these guys because a 9 is something that we didn't realize what we had. But every cigar company in the world is going to if they have multiple lines in the market, they're going to say to themselves, at least we have that. It allows us to do everything else. And like the workhorse you think the black was, that is going to be the red for us. So if you look at the path for CAO, it was before we took over CAO, it was Brasilia. At least you had Brasilia, and you can do all this magic. But when we took over, it can flathead, unless we had flathead. And I think red is going to be that cigar for West Tampa. Okay, we're in 5 years, 10 years later, at least we had red, because it really was a workhorse, because the blend just was spot on, the packaging was spot on, the sizes, the price point, it was all is online. So I think it's going to be something special for us.
No, I agree. Guys, stay tuned for part 2. We're going to round out part 1. Cheers. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Rick, thank you. I'll send a message to Sara as well. Cheers. And we're going to get into a little bit more of, like I said, topic time in part 2. But thank you for making this happen. I'm glad you're feeling better this week. I'm glad the hurricane went north of you.
Thank you.
Our thoughts go out to anyone that's affected by the hurricane for sure. It's a weird year of weather all around the country and world. And like I said, I'm glad you guys are safe where you're at down in Tampa area. So guys, stay tuned for part 2. Thank you. We'll talk to you guys soon. Intermission. Do you need a break? Do we need anyone need a break?
Oh, nope.
Good to roll?
Yeah.
So what do you need? So, yeah. Do you want a little more? For sure. It is very good.
So how many people are there with you guys today?
Right. Just 2 in the garage.
Okay, perfect. So I'll send you guys about 6 of these. So there's 8 Lanceros.
Okay.
2 for each.
Yeah.
I'm going to send it to Steve.
Yes.
So, yeah. So if
just
he
send him to the
doesn't provide it,
whatever.
Yeah, if he doesn't provide it because he, smoked them all.
Well, I'm not going to smoke them all, but I will maybe save one for like Brian and, because.
You know what? I'll just give you, do me a favor. Just send me your address again for the shop.
Yeah,
and
I will do that.
Give them in the mail.
Yeah, I'll shoot that over you tonight or tomorrow for sure. I appreciate that.
So I have 2 sizes, and we'll talk about this if you want. There's 2 sizes, the Lancero and the Corona, that we're going to kind of introduce to the market. But it's kind of a special situation.
It's like a line extension.
Kind of, but not. Yeah, for sure. So if you want to talk about this, for the second half, we can definitely share
for sure.
some information.
Right. Let's do a quick silence, and then I can find the cut on this. I'm going to pour one while that silence happens, and then I'll start part 2. Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS Podcast, everyone. This is episode 284, part 2. Beyond the BS, we are still joined by Rick Rodriguez, West Tampa Tobacco. Take the banner off here. And Rick, we're smoking tonight. The West Tampa Tobacco Red was the featured cigar. See you later. And then it looks like Nate's about to light up, or just did. Not yet. The West Tampa Black. And we talked a lot about the West Tampa, just overall where you guys are at. Obviously, your daughter Sara, who's now involved with the company, she was on the first majority of the part 1, and we appreciate you having her and her being on. We also are Still sipping on the Watershed. This is the OHLQ pick, bottle number 8 that is available now in the state of Ohio. This is the Casper bottle. This was not publicized. That's why we are talking about it tonight. And check out part 1 for our thoughts on that towards the end of part 1. And also be posting a clip of our talk about that bottle.
And thank you for Watershed, Watershed for sending the podcast that bottle so that way we could review it.
And enjoy it.
Well, yeah, that too. Well, isn't that part, doesn't that go hand in hand with reviewing it?
Let's hope so, because then the review is a little rough.
Oh, okay. Fair.
But we did enjoy this. The topic tonight, and you guys, if we've had several weeks now where we've had some comments for some part 2 comments as far as the topics you guys want us to talk about. We didn't get many this week, so we're going to go with just an old classic kind of part 2 topic, but we can go anywhere with this. But I thought it was fitting. I didn't know how long Sara was going to stay on here, but you know, having you on, you kind of alluded to it. We're going to be talking tonight about legacy, and I think that's very fitting having West Tampa on here and having Rick on here. But before we get into that, let's have a little bit more cigar talk here. You were talking about a project based off of the West Tampa Red, and that was 2 different sizes. What were you getting at it with these?
Oh, that was the secret. We're not talking about that. No.
Never mind.
There is a project that we've been kind of working on and thinking about. And so it's kind of how do we thank the people that brought in West Tampa at the beginning, that allowed us to grow this company so quickly. And so we're thinking about this project, and there's a couple of sizes in the market right now that I want to offer, but I don't think it is a national launch. And these sizes may be not the sizes that a certain shop sells very quickly. So there's 2 sizes. There is a Lancero, and then there's going to be a Corona.
Just classic sizes.
Yeah. So and also and the white.
Oh wow.
Oh.
And the
Corona.
So you're doing it in all 3.
Exactly. So the only one we don't have right now is the black. But we're going to develop this program that allows us to give you guys access to these certain sizes, because I don't want to launch this nationally if you don't, bro. I love you to death, and cigars are selling, but we're not a Lancero kind of shop.
Yeah.
And so why not? So why penalize the shop that, bro, Lanceros in my shop sells like hotcakes. So you're going to be offered this access to my kitchen.
Nice.
To kind of go out and say, I went to Ricky's kitchen and I'm going to give you this size.
All right.
And you can pick, it's just focus on white or white and black or red, whatever you want. So we're going to give you guys access. And so maybe this program will reach your shop. We already voted you in, so I don't know if you want to be a part of the program. We don't care.
I'm sure we can figure something out.
Already in. But again, you can turn out, the beauty of this is going to be access to these unique sizes or blends for the future. So you can definitely say, Ricky, right now, no, and then I introduce it. Oh, yes for that. And so you're going to have the access to, pick and choose what you want to offer your shop, because your shop would support that.
Absolutely. So these are smaller production numbers, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, because the Corona is one thing, but Lancero, especially, if you guys listen to part 1 of the show tonight, I mean, you guys are working with a kind of a smaller factory. And so I know Lanceros are not only tough to translate a blend to sometimes, but it also takes a certain level roller to make that a solid smoker, because that ring gauge and the length of it, there's a lot of room for error there. So to be able to put out a product that's solid like that, I mean, that's saying something. So it's very interesting.
Going to a chef and saying, you know what, I want you a Michelin star shop. cook me an egg, just a fried egg.
Yeah.
And you would not be surprised how many chefs would panic on just a fried egg, because you can't hide. You can't hide from anything.
No.
It's there. And so you're right, because that was our concern. And but the kind of talking to the factory, reassuring us that no, we have a special group of people, rollers. These rollers that work with Garmendia comes from some of the best factories around Nicaragua. And why? Because he has this kind of image right now as a family. When we do hire you, you're part of this family for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And they're located in an area that they don't need to be concerned of taking buses or cabs or having a ride. They can walk to the factory. He's smart enough to say, really, what does the railroad need? They need access to your factory, cheap, and they can. So I believe that we can do this, and I'm smoking one right now, bro. It is like smoking or driving a Cadillac in an open highway right now. It is just smooth.
I love it.
Smooth.
You're preaching to the choir. I'm a big Cadillac guy myself, so I feel like you knew that, but I don't know if you did. Tonight we're going to be talking about legacy, and I picked that topic again, not knowing if Sara was going to be on the whole time or not, but I don't think we necessarily need her, because I mean this is what you're dealing with, and we talking about cigars. Part two. This isn't just about cigars, but a legacy is something. I look up the definition here, and there's two major ones, right? And it's like a gift by will, especially of money or other personal property, like a bequest. But the next one I think is more kind of what I have in mind, which is something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or predecessor or from the past. And I think with you in the cigar industry, and I think it can translate to a lot of other industries and other things, but I mean, you've kind of, when you're trying to leave a legacy, or I think even on the other side of that is try to live up to a legacy. Those are two angles of it. What's that?
Or build one.
Yeah, like build it. Yeah, and then build one, a legacy that you're going to hope to give. It doesn't always have to be within family. It can be, something of a mentor or whatever else. And I think I kind of wanted to branch that off into also, how you carry yourself and building a consistent reputation and character, because I think they kind of go hand in hand. I mean, I think legacy, is very literal for what you're trying to do and what you've actually been through. You talk about, Benji in the past and that kind of legacy that I think was transferred on to you just by, the mentorship and everything else and the business side of it. But I think living every day with the character that you want to be able to not only feel comfortable in your own skin and feel confident that you're doing what would make you proud. Sometimes you look at your mentor, your parents, you look at, your friends, your family, and everything else, is that you live your life to try to make them proud. But I think also looking in the mirror, your character should shine through. And I think there's a lot of ways that, Rick, you've had a hell of a life, up and down stories and everything like that. And I think it was great to have you on here to talk about a topic like that of legacy. I mean, obviously you can talk the cigar business, you can talk, where you're at right now, but I think there's more than just whatever. With the tobacco, it's very personal, and we talked about that, obviously. But I think no matter what the widget is, no matter what the situation is, whatever the aspect of life that you're trying to really build and make people proud of what character, who you are as an individual, I think that's what we can talk about tonight, if you guys are good with that.
For sure. One of my stories that I'll share with you, when I was a young man, and I remember, because if you look at Sara and I, it's almost like we're adopted, and then we're discovering our past. Because my dad and my mom kind of sheltered us from the history of what my grandfather and my grandmother did in Cuba, and the history of my mother's side of the family. So growing up, I didn't really have a lot of history about my past to share with Sara. because I didn't really know about my past. I knew my grandfather and grandmother were cigar rollers. That's it. Where they rode, what they did, how it affected their life. Didn't know that because they were out of our lives very young, very young. I lost both of my grandfather and grandmother maybe before I was 5 years old. So there was never kind of in place, but there's certain memories. Again, I believe, there's certain key memories. A cigar smoke still, the scent of the cigar smoke reminds me, maybe 2 years old, 3 years old, I don't know, walking to my grandfather's house and smelling cigar smoke. So that has always been a part of my memory base. But so we're now discovering this chapter. It's like, okay, now we're going to find out about our true family. And then that kind of led me to the cigar business. And that was the kind of the pole I attached myself to. Okay, I don't know anything about cigars, but I know this. It's in my blood.
Yeah.
So just go. And so I found it's beautiful. Legacy to me, I don't know if that's a word I use. I think it's part of that description. I just want my wife and daughter to be proud of me, and not success wise, but kind of that. I remember going back to the old man that's taught me this lesson. When you pass away, are you going to be one or two people? The person that has the two cars is the dead body and an attorney and the wife arguing what how much money that he's going to give me. Or that procession. Who was that guy? What was he did? Oh, he was a cigar guy. Bro, I've been stopped in this life for 30 minutes watching these guys. So that's what I want to do. Is I want to be looked at as when I pass or go on. Hey, I'm proud of my dad because he had these many friends. He touched this many lives in his and career. And this beautiful thing connects me so too many people, sometimes too many people, but it is amazing how many friends I have around the world because of this.
Yeah.
Really, simply this.
It's amazing,
I've been
really.
to China. I've been to all over the world because of this. And so I don't want to ever lose sight of what this has given me and my family. A great life, a great journey.
Absolutely. I think you've made obviously a very, very nice living off of, being able to do this. And it is funny to hear that kind of, I guess, commentary about the fact that, you knew it was in your history, your family. And it's funny how families work sometimes where it's like, there are people, it's not that it's not that people are embarrassed of their certain past, but it's like they maybe take things for granted. So like when you're growing up and stuff, and they talk about your grandparents and stuff, it's like, tell me about them. Like, oh, they were cigar rollers in Cuba. Like, oh, tell me more. It's like that was grandma and grandpa.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
Yeah,
it.
you're right. Because I think it's sometimes not only the road that you go down, it's shattered because of something happened, and maybe my grandfather and grandmother to my father was evil. I don't know, but I know this: he detached himself from his family, and my mother did also. So it's up to us to discover what our past is, and I was lucky that Jay Bullock from Rocky Patel one time fucking tapped me on the shoulder. Hey, do you want to sell cigars? Dave, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Do you smoke cigars? Yes, I do. All the time. And do you know about cigars? Yes, I do. Lie, lie, and lie.
There's the story. It's funny you bring that up because when my about the procession and everything like that, it's just talking about it. Shout out to Brian Joyce and his wife just lost his wife's father, and they're going through the the ceremonies this weekend, and just sounds. I mean, I met him a couple times, Charlie, and just sounds like just. I mean, from the stories I hear, just an amazing man, and
That's
I'm interested to hear
right.
how the weekend goes. With the memorial and then the mass and everything like that. It makes me think about when my father passed away, and he wasn't a major league baseball player or anything like that, but when we moved here to Columbus area back in 1987, my brother and I were we were into sports and everything like that, and with Little League we started playing rec ball, and he used to coach and do all these things, and he used to play ball in high school and stuff like that. But it's amazing that he attached himself on the side as like a volunteer to the Westville Rec baseball, and it was like kind of a smaller suburb, it was growing and all this stuff, but it's like the program. I mean, he looked at it, he's like, man, these, they need better equipment, they need better fields, they need all this stuff. You fast forward, we graduate high school, we're past college and all this stuff. He's still working, at the time, he was still working with that rec program. I mean, he found that passion, he found this stuff, and it's on a pretty small scale when you look at the world as a whole. But when he kept working on it, he was the one that had a computer at home that had all the league registrations on. He just kept going at it the whole time, and he passed away fairly suddenly at the age of 72. And at that age, 72, you don't know what kind of, when a younger person passes away, typically it's like the whole high school's there, the whole, like all the community. And it's just like, I'm not kidding. We had, calling hours a wake, and it was, I think, 2 hours long, and it went well over that because there was a line of people just one after the other. And it was church people. It was my friends. It was some of my brother's friends. It was my mom's friends. And then it was all these baseball people over the year.
He won.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, I couldn't believe
the thing of life, the game of life, bro. He won because, like you said, I only met this gentleman once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
But he touched me already. So your father did the same thing.
Yeah.
And you don't know, as a man, when I left General Cigar, I don't know who's going to support me.
Right.
And I hope that I turned around, maybe my family there, 2 or 3 shops are there, but everybody's there. Everybody's there. So if you want to see who won the game of life, go to Inner Funeral and you see more smiles than frowns.
Yeah.
He won. He won. Because there's no fucking sad stories being told about your dad.
Yeah.
Not the one. Oh, he was the guy that saved me because I didn't hit the form, and he had this fucking computer the size of this fucking thing.
Yeah.
But,
it was amazing to see that. And then I had some friends, even I grew up playing Little League with, and like some of the stories they were telling, I'm like, you had a different experience with my dad as a coach than I had.
Talk to Sara.
Yeah, it reminds me of you and Sara, because it's like, it's like one of those things, like, they're telling all these stories. And like, I remember my buddy Chip, even, like, I still know him to this day. And he shared this amazing, like, story about my dad was coaching third base, and he was, turning, third. And it was like, he tells him this whole thing, and he's like, and Chip's doing this whole, like, life. He's like, and I knew then that, he was talking to me about life. And it was like, I was like, bro, I just remember my dad.
30 seconds is that guy's life. 30 seconds running that base.
I'm telling you, it was like one of those things.
And how many seconds of his life he's lived?
He related it to having a kid. Right. He related it to going through a divorce. He related it to like getting after things. And I'm just sitting here. I'm like, I just remember when I'd like, not be able to find the strike zone. And he's like, I got to pull you. And I was like pissed at him. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things. It's like who you touch by that, like you said, just like in that moment, the impact that you can have. And I don't know. I'm sharing that just because of, again, I think that does relate to what you're saying about Sara. Like
it is because, again, Sara, you can meet me, and I am the happy-go-lucky uncle that you see once or twice a year, and he goes, "Oh my God, we love," and Betty, that's married to that uncle, said, "This is live with him, live with him
Yeah, right.
for
He's
200."
at home.
Yeah, he's different. So I can say you can have a different point of view of your father than everybody he's touched, because Sarah's going to have a different point of view because they all connect with me at events, good times, good. Yeah, bro, he's a great guy. Yeah, he live with him on Monday or Tuesday,
Yeah.
just one Monday and Tuesday, and see the good guy.
Yeah, all the cigar people see you, having a great
Right,
time, and they see
right,
the positive side. They don't see the
Yeah.
behind the scenes, the
Yeah,
day to day,
exactly.
and
The
having to
diva
work
I
with
am.
you.
The
Yeah,
diva I am.
Well, you don't see the real person,
Yeah.
because everyone's a real person. And I think that's part of it too, is that when you look at legacy, you look at reputation. I mean, how do you handle the bad times? How do you handle the bad days? I think that's a big aspect that not everyone looks at. You look at the professional athletes, the celebrities, and all that stuff. Up until recently, they were just like that. Like they were like you compare it to like the Uncle Rick. It's like, oh, that's like they can't do anything wrong, and then you hear about a scandal, and you're like, what?
Right,
Oh my
right,
God!
right,
Like
right. Yeah,
these
yeah,
people you
yeah,
look up to, complete strangers, even.
yeah, yeah.
And it's like their legacy could be absolutely
They're
ripped
human.
apart. But
They're
that's the
human.
thing. They're human. They're not perfect.
Yeah,
They have bad
yeah,
days.
they're
They wake
not.
up some mornings and they don't feel like going to work. They don't feel like doing it. It's a matter, I think, more of how you handle it. And if you need some time away, you take that time for yourself. If you need a moment, you communicate that I need a moment. But I mean, there are those aspects, I think, in life that, yeah, Rick Rodriguez, for example, to all of us in the cigar industry, is like, yeah, you're positive, you're happy and all that stuff. I'm sure you've walked out of some events
80%,
and you lit up your phone
80% of the time. Yeah,
and you lost
80%
your
of the time
shit.
I am.
Yeah.
But you know what? Again, my worry has always been not the blending, not the presentation. Is can I perform again the same way I did, 10 years ago, 13 years ago, 20 years ago? Because I know when I do an event, nobody's interested of my fucking problems.
No.
Oh, you know what? I have a bad day. It's like going to, if you spend money for a concert and you go to the concert and, hey, this is the last show of the 30, concert tour. So we're tired and we're going to just sing 3 songs.
Yeah.
What you want from that band is the first concert.
Mhm.
The same thing. So I've always worried about, and I've said to Sarah, it's going to come a time that I go out there and perform B or C, not A. And that happens, I'm done. I'm done because no, I'm never going to shortchange anybody. One
Right.
guy or 20 guys who come to the shop to visit me. Hey, bro, I'm tired. I just got a bad phone call. Don't care.
Yeah.
Perform, and I have to do that.
Yeah, I think that's in any job. I mean, these days you hear
Exactly.
about all that stuff.
Exactly.
Well, you
Yeah.
hear about all that stuff about, and it's not just any certain age bracket anymore. It's real easy to, in recent years to peg it on millennials or now, what is it, Gen X or whatever. I don't know. Gen Z. I don't know where we're at with all this shit. But, we talk about like, oh, I need a day because I'm not feeling like coming into work. I mean, there is a little bit, again, that's your reputation that you're leaving right now. Like you're constantly developing that. And I think there is some of that, is that even if you really don't feel it and you think that it's going to go bad, yes, you need to make that stand and say, I'm not going to, as you said, perform. So I need to take a day or I'm going to have to cancel an event. But,
Exactly.
it's better to be ahead of it than it is to be behind it and then give those poor performances, because again, now that's your reputation. No, I did meet Rick Rodriguez. I did meet my hero, my favorite celebrity or whatever.
Exactly.
And they
deserve that.
They were terrible. I mean, I don't
Bro,
know.
I hate that. I know this happens often, so that's the key for me. It was always a key for me. I'm proud of that. I can say that the day I retired for General Cigar was a Friday, and I did an event on Friday, and everybody's asking me, "You're leaving? Why are you here? Why are you doing the last 10 events?" Because the last time I checked, General Cigar is paying me.
Yeah.
And so I gave him their everything the last time I dropped the mark. and I did over $17,000 in business the last time, and I gave it everything. And then, a week later, I announced West Tampa. But it's, I just don't want to shortchange the fan base or who's paying me.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting that you bring that up, and I'm not going to get too dark here or whatever, but everyone brings up that you live your last day like you're dying, right? One of those things. I look at that as that, with you knowing that's your last day at a job, more often than not, people will fucking phone it in. They're like, I'm already on, like even taking a vacation the day before vacation.
Yeah,
people do that shit. But if you're quitting and it's like you already put your 2 weeks in, whatever it is, and then it's like you just kind of phone it in. Even employers will look at it like, I'm not going to get the best out of them. But if I love that. I mean, I'm going to use that almost as a metaphor, Rick, is that, you did that. You knew that was your last day. And you're like, I'm going to give it my all. It's like if you're a performer and you're like, this is my final show, I'm going to give it all I got. And I think you look at sometimes when in life also, if you knew you were, again, not to get too dark, but if you knew you were dying, it's like, how do you live your life? Do you just start phoning it in? Do you start just keeping to yourself? Do you just say, no, my life's over? I've seen both sides of it, and I'm only in my early 40s. I mean, I can only imagine, what I'll see going forward is that as people get diagnosed with certain things, if you whatever it might be, and you have just a certain amount of time to live, it's like, how do you respond to that? Do you go into full-blown depression and say it's already over, or do you say, you know what, I'm gonna do what I can to continue to enjoy what time I have left, and I'm gonna try to impact the people that I interact with in a way that it doesn't really mean anything to me when I'm long gone, but I know that there is some value there to be able to put my best self forward, so that I know that I am performing and influencing people, or at least impacting people the best I can. Because if I'm just going to be a stick in the mud and be that crotchety old person, like I'm dying anyways, it's like, then just go ahead and die already. Like, I mean,
I agree.
You're just going to bring everyone else down. You have a negative impact. Is that really how you want to make your last days at work, last days in life?
That's going to be the lasting impression.
Yeah.
It is.
I actually know someone that they had put in their 2 weeks notice, and then on what was supposed to be their last day, they called in sick.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Now,
wow.
I don't know if they were actually sick or not. It could be a coincidence. Only that person truly knows.
But that person has to go home with themselves and realize what they did.
Oh no,
that's it, bro.
They called in sick, and then 3 or 4 days later, showed up at the company holiday party.
Oh, that's just weird.
Yeah, that's false,
and everyone
that's
was sitting there going, "Really?
Wow.
That person showed up?
Feeling better, are you?
That takes some balls." But I mean, that's going to be the last thing that those people remember. Like, if you'd have phoned it in, that last event with General, and you just sat there like a curmudgeon in the corner, you didn't interact with people, you weren't, the smiling, happy person that we see you doing the show.
Right.
That's going to be the last thing they remember about you.
For sure.
What you did the 20 years before, all the great stories, all the great memories, great times, none of that shit matters because you ruined it in one day by how you treated that last day.
I agree. And so I was blessed because, when I had my stroke, I knew my life was going to be different. And I had the opportunity to, like Steve says, there's a fork in the road. Be sad, oh my God. Or so, okay, this is a new journey, let's do it. And so I realized, so I'm lucky that I have been challenged in my life. And so if you ask me how I would respond when the doctor says, hey, Ricky, you have cancer and you have, 6 months to live. Believe me, bro, I'm not going to bury myself in this house. Okay, really? If I calculate, that's 30 events I can do. 30 events. Let's do it. maybe in a fucking wheelchair, but I'm going to do it because I love it, and I feed off of that energy from the people that come to the events, for sure.
I just think there's so much value out of it. I mean, like you look at people that struggle with that, or if they are, not happy with their job, there is a lot of credit, and they will at least give their all on their job. They can leave that arena, whether it be they're in person or if they're, talking with clients or if they're talking, with coworkers, they can go home and just complain. They can really just be like, I hate this, but it's still showing up because, again, your reputation is going to precede you wherever you go, I feel like. And the more time you feel either think sorry for yourself or you lash out or you stop performing, I think that's, like Nate said, that's the lasting impression.
Mm-hmm.
It almost not totally negates, but it absolutely pollutes what maybe good reputation you had before that moment. And all of a sudden you're the problem. All of a sudden you're not easy to work with. All of a sudden you're not easy to get along with. You start losing credibility in your career. You start losing, your friends don't come around as much. You're not easy to talk to at home, all that stuff. You're allowed to have a moment. You're allowed to be in a bad mood. I've been there several times in my life and been impacted by life events. But it's about, how do you react to it? How long do you get? How big is that moment? I think is my biggest thing. Like, how long do you allow yourself to be unhappy with that moment? And how long?
Everybody's different. Everybody's different, and that deep, floor. It's up to you. You can stop it, but for me, to you, anybody says, Ricky, enough. Well, enough for who? You. But I'm still stinking. So it's up to them. And so for me, what I pride myself on, the last 20 events that I did for General Cigar, they knew, because I was secretly taking everybody like you and said, bro, I'm doing something else. I'm doing something else. And so I knew that if I didn't do my job and turn around, but I pride myself at is the 20 shops that I did my last event with, they all send up for West Tampa. Because what? Because I did my job. I didn't fucking half-ass it, didn't cancel on it. Bro, I'm sorry. It's General Cigar's problem. It's not my problem. And so every account that I did my last signed up with West Tampa.
Yeah, if you didn't do the event, those 20 accounts may not be accounts of West Tampa.
I wouldn't do it. If you called me and said, I'll cancel. Bro, I've been planning it for 6 weeks. What do you mean? I'm leaving. But hey, I'll call you next week. Yeah, call me.
I'll hang up that phone real quick. No, to Steve telling that, that example, what if you were found out you had X number of time left? That reminds me of, and I hate bringing this up again, but a few years ago when my stepdad got diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah.
The doctors told him with no treatment, at best 6 months, even with treatment, he'd be lucky to see a year. But he had seen my mom go through chemo and radiation and all that stuff. And so at one point he was actually at the doctor, getting looked over for possibly doing chemo treatments or for radiation treatments. And finally he looks at the doctor and goes, if this is only going to get me a few more months, but it's going to do all these negative things to my body, what's the point? And the doctor just goes, there's not much of one. He goes, all right, I'm out. And just walked out. And he's like, I'm going to do as much as I can over the next however long I have left.
Yeah.
And so after the diagnosis, they went back to Punta Cana one more time.
Nice.
He and my mom.
Love that.
They kept their tradition of going to Ocean Club at Easton on their anniversary, which my wife had ordered a gift that was supposed to be his Christmas present that year. And when we found out that he wasn't gonna make it to Christmas, My wife actually called up the company, told them what was going on, and they're like, yep, we're going to put a rush on that. We're going to go ahead and rush that project and get it out as soon as possible. That Christmas present showed up the day of their anniversary.
That's amazing.
And he actually called me. He goes, "Hey, was this from you guys?" And we're like, "Yeah, that was supposed to be, not to be a downer, but that was supposed to be your Christmas present. But you know, we know you don't have much time left, so we wanted you to at least have it, you know, while you were still with us." And the hardest thing for him during that time was the last Sunday at church, because we had started a church, you know, more than a decade before. We had actually ended up starting 2 churches, and because that was something he was always passionate about. He had been a pastor or youth pastor ever since he was 19 years old, and he had always had a passion for ministry. And the hardest part for him was that last Sunday, and having to stand there in front of the congregation after the service and tell everybody there, like, this is it. This is the last Sunday.
Yeah.
We're shutting everything down because there's no one in a position to be able to take it over. And I don't want to spend, you know, my last remaining months still doing the same thing, you know, studying and writing sermons and everything. I want to do as much as I can with my wife, with my kids, with my grandkids.
Yeah.
And, you know, because yes, being a pastor was important to him, but family was even more important. And so he made it a point to, you know, do what he could in those last few months while he could.
No, I think it's super impactful.
But that's the legacy he left behind.
That is. And I think that's, go ahead, Rick.
No, these are the stories that we're going to share with Cigars Guys. And these are the legacies. Again, I own a business, but you can be that cigar guy in the shop that touches people. Just that shop, that 30, 40, 50 people that, you know, congregate at the shop. That's that legacy. And so I think that's a draw for a lot of cigar smokers, is they get into this thinking it's going to be like a pipe smoker. I do this in private, reading a book. Bro, you see the kind of, okay, you're a cigar smoker, welcome. This group is your new group of friends. And that is a legacy you can build in a shop. And that draws me to the shops all the time, because every shop has that guy that when he passed away, it is a fucking hole in that shop's heart that's never going to be filled. And he was that guy. And so, beautiful. And so, at the end of the day, bro, you know, we're all, you know, have a time clock. Sometimes I ask myself, do I want to know I have 6 months, or something happens to me very quickly? I just lost a friend, you know, a heart attack. He didn't have a chance to speak to everybody. Hey, this is what you meant to me. This is the joy they've given me. And this is the love that I've received. So if you ask me sometimes, would I rather be told I have a year, or I can take you overnight? Give me that year. Give me that year so I can really fucking demonstrate to everybody that I've ever connected how much you meant to me.
All right. Let me comment on that. I mean, it's funny. One of the things that I think that I took from, you know, my father passing suddenly, right? You know, I got the call from my mom early in the morning. I knew something was off, and not to get into that. I mean, I couldn't sleep that morning. It was weird. You know, one of those, you know, the universe works again weird ways sometimes, and I'm not religious as much anymore, really at all. But it was like something like I couldn't sleep like that night, and I woke up early in the morning. It's like 3:30, 4:30, and I'm like, man, I just don't feel right and all this stuff, right? My phone rings at like 6:30 in the morning. It's my mom, who never calls that early in the morning, right? So I thought initially, for whatever reason, I thought, oh, you know, it was probably her calling. Dad's in the hospital, like maybe he had a heart attack, whatever, you know. But unfortunately, it was the other call where, you know, your dad passed away, and you know, he was downstairs. He couldn't sleep that night, and she found him downstairs. I look at two sides of that. I can appreciate what you're saying, Rick, and you know what you're you know, your stepfather went through it is almost that takes a lot of courage to be able to muster up that kind of positivity when right?
Yes.
I don't know how my dad would have been, he died at 72, if he's 82 or whatever, or in his 80s and he's in a nursing home. I don't know if he would just be the nicest guy in there or if he would have just been miserable and depressed. I don't know what he would have been like. I think what I took away from that, I'm not saying that what you guys are saying is the wrong answer, because there's not one. I almost took away from that is that, he lived his life 72 years and then maybe didn't know that he had that time. So he didn't know. And so that was like, he was living his life the way he wanted to, or the way that he was, whatever it might be. The lesson that I got from that, the impact that I have from that is I still have my down days. I don't always do the right thing. In my mind, I deal with everyday life just like everyone else. But I think the impact that I had from that is that you ask yourself, if we could choose, like you just did, Rick, that you were told how much time you had, you would act a certain way, or would you like to live your life? I'm 42 years old. I'm living my life now that if I did pass away, yes, I know it would probably be more of an impact to other people, like, oh, he was so young and all that stuff. But did I live each day intentionally, that not necessarily I'm like doing a bucket list or anything like that, but it's like I'm doing my best so that if I did pass away, people do know that already. I mean, that's the way I look at it. If I have another, year, if I have another 10 years, another 30 years, another 40, 50, whatever it might be, I think the constant struggle for most people is like, can you live that consistently for yourself and other people with intention that you don't get stuck in the rut? Because if you're stuck in the rut and you're like, man, I just really don't like the way my life is going right now, and that's when you pass, like, that's not what you want, because if you are and you're told, like, if you're in a rut and all of a sudden, hey, you have a year to live, maybe 6 months or whatever, it's like, I'm going to change things. You have that opportunity to do that. If you're not told that and you're just living your everyday life, if you were just all of a sudden gone, are you happy with the way that you went? You know what I mean? Like, are you happy with the way that you lived that day and the days leading up to that? I think there's impact on both sides. I think there's influence. There's really kind of there's a recentering type of a mentality that you can have, whether you don't know and you're just living your life the best you can and being conscious of the finite time that you have and you don't know, or do you have, oh, I need to change my life because I was just told that.
I wouldn't do that. I'm not doing it for the reason I need to, be a better person, because the cards are set. So to me, I worry about my family, and every time, because text is such a part of our life, and you argue on text, and so to me, if I knew that the last words for Sara or my wife were positive, take me right now. Take me in the bank. But I don't want to fucking go away. Oh my God. The last text I said, the last phone call I had with my father or my husband was angry. I have to carry that burden. That's the only thing that I kind of lean to. Give me 6 months. Don't take me right away because I do not want that burden. So, hey guys, I'm dying to fuck. So don't be fucking nasty to me because maybe to tomorrow. So to me, that's the only thing I think of is how I know how expectant people are. The last time was this, not a hug, not a kiss.
That's a good point. And hopefully, like I said, bigger picture, it's like, yes, they have to carry that, but they know. If you're living your life, you have a good relationship that they can get past that to a point where it's like, I wish that wasn't the last thing, but I know that, 99% of the time it was good.
He was there for you. Yeah. So again, bro, you know what? We got off course, but this is a great conversation because these are conversations you have with friends, with close people that you have. and you have the opportunity to share this. And a lot of people, bro, you're going too deep. Yeah, really? Because we're just talking about what? Life. This is what we live every day. And you have to realize there's people that are willing to listen to your struggles, your happiness, your successes, your failures. If you just have the opportunity to talk, if you have it in yourself to share this kind of hardness, because a lot of people just want you because the time we're living, and Facebook and Twitter is all fucking good. Everybody's having a great time.
Yeah.
Everybody's life is happy. Peel that fucking onion, and you'll see. Yeah, Betty was gone for 3 weeks because she's kind of down in the dumps. All of a sudden, Betty appears again. Betty, the last time I met Betty, but anybody, but a Betty. Yeah.
No.
Who names their fucking children Betty right now?
The older names are coming back. I think they're coming back. They're
I
trendy
hope.
now.
I hope. Yeah, I hope. You can always have Ricky, not Richard, but Ricky.
Ricky for sure.
It's going to be a struggle all your life. Are you
It
a
is.
Ricky or a Rick?
I don't know. I look at all that stuff where you're talking about with how you. Just to comment on that real quick, the last thing you said to someone was negative, and then you weren't able to say how you really felt or whatever. I mean, there's so many things about that, and talking about legacy and just talking about passing things along and the reputation is that I think, again, that's a lifestyle thing where sometimes if you want to apologize. Don't wait.
Bro.
If you want to say how you really feel about someone, don't wait. There's not a whole lot of benefit of trying to win an argument, not necessarily trying to be like, you know what, I'm not going to text, or I'm not going to call them back, or I'm not going to be the one to say sorry first. If you're sorry, say you're sorry, because again, going back to you being a credible and a genuine person, I think that's what really keeps relationships strong. It's not about we're not, it's like yourself. If you don't have a personal relationship with that person, if you're going on, if you just started dating someone, you just started a new job and you're trying to put your best self forward, that's not real life all the time. This is you're down in the trenches and you spend more time with a certain person than you do anyone else. They're not going to see the best you all the time, and you're not going to see the best them all the time. And the sooner you realize that, I think the better off you'll be. So you get to know what that makes them tick, what makes them happy. And if you have an argument, if you like you were saying with text, it's like you send a nasty text because you're pissed off, and all of a sudden you kind of feel bad about it. There's so many times where I think people will be like, you know what, I'm going to let them stew on it a little bit. I'm going to let them kind of be like, no, I'm going to let them be the one that text, because if I text back first, I lose, and all of a sudden, no, get over yourself. Be honest about it. If you're feeling a certain way, tell them.
For me, getting older, there's two reasons you're going to apologize. One, to receive something, or I just want to get rid of the burden. I'm sorry. I don't expect you to say, I accept your apology, fuck you, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, I'm sorry. How you reacted, but, the younger Rick, okay, I'm sorry. Come on. Say your sorry back. Yes. So now, no, I'm done with that. If I have a problem and I said, bro, I was wrong, I'm sorry. I'm not expecting a situation of an answer that's going to be me happy. Just, saying I'm sorry is enough for me. Enough for me. What do you do with that sorry? It's up to you. I can't control it. I don't care. But now the burden is up to you to either accept it or say, I'm still having a problem with it. Well, that's your problem. I'm going to sleep very silently tonight.
Yeah, you can't control what the other person does.
Yep.
There was a question here. It's and it is back on the industry. If you want to steer back there just a little bit, and it's from someone that we mentioned earlier. Apparently, they did survive the storm down there, which I appreciate. So glad you, Jonathan, that you're safe where you're at. He says, "What's your legacy in this industry?"
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say I don't care. I am who I am. if I'm for you or get, I'm not changing. So if my legacy, he was a good tobacco teacher. That's number one. A good storyteller. Number two, great. A good salesman. Okay, don't care about that as much as the first two. If my legacy, hey, bro, I went to Ricky's event and he taught me about a cigar, and I've been to 30, 50, 100 events. I've never realized what they're doing. I learned from that. That's what I want. That legacy for me is he was a great teacher. He was a great storyteller. He got it and he understood how to dissect what he does in bite-sized pieces for us to understand.
Yeah, I think, I'm not going to comment necessarily on yours, but I think anyone that's in, your industry, your position, another one I think that you can add to the list is that, based on my experience with you, Rick, and from what I hear from other people, like, my customers and other people in the industry, it's like, I love being around the guy because of those things. He talked tobacco, he talked cigars, he taught me a lot. I enjoyed his products, but most importantly, it was great to be around that person.
Mhm.
It was great to be around Rick. It was great to, you're making an impact because, again, people tend to enjoy their time with you. And, I think that's probably the most important part, I think, in any interaction is that you actually genuinely enjoyed that time. And if you have the opportunity to be around that person, you're going to take that opportunity to do it again. It's
I
not
do today.
yeah, it was great
I do
meeting him. It was
today.
great meeting
Yeah,
him.
yeah,
The
yeah,
cigars are good, but it's like, oh, he's coming back in town. It's like a band, right? It's like, oh, no, I already saw them.
right,
That's all right.
right.
But if you
Yeah.
have that, and I know you have, at least in Columbus, not to inflate anything here, your ego or anything like that, or your
Mhm.
but that is what it is, when it's like, hey, Rick is coming back to the Smoking 10 event next year. It's like, oh shit, like, hey, it was great meeting him last year. I've seen him every year. I got to make sure and then when you remember someone, you have a conversation, even the first time, the impact that you have on people, I think is really probably so far your legacy in the industry. I'd say this too. I mean, I think you bring up, you leaving General, and not to bring up anything with that, but I think a lot of times when people leave a company, or say you leave a relationship, you're like, with the realization is like, I hope that they continue to do well. I hope that company continues to strive, and you do it on the right note. A lot of times people are like, they're going to be fucked without me.
Mm.
And they all of a sudden they go down, you feel good about it, or they do better, and you're like, oh shit, I don't mean anything. No, I think it's a realization that life goes on. You know what I mean? Like, you're important, but I will say that, side note, nothing against General, but I'm actually happy, and I think there's a lot of people in the industry that are happy that CAO does not have a brand ambassador since you left.
I
Those
agree. I
are some
agree.
big shoes to fill. The
Yeah.
products are still there, but
Mhm.
that brand in general, going from, say in general, that brand going from selling and all that stuff and changing, and all of a sudden you came in, and then you were the face, and now that you've gone on and done your own thing, CAO is just, CAO products, and it's not, there's no personal identity there anymore. And I think that is something that they might come, I don't know what their plans are, but I mean, in the
I
last
hope. I hope.
over a
I
year,
hope.
it's like, those are big shoes to fill. But I also
You know,
think it's because you did what you
I
did up until the last event.
Well, you know what? I kind of replaced, Ernesto and Benji of the world, and General Cigar and CEO is going to be fine.
Mhm.
Every time I travel, a lot of people ask me, okay, quietly, very quietly, hey, I'm sorry, I still enjoy Flathead. Okay, okay, let's go to my little cigar box I travel with. And every time I open it up, they're surprised I have CAO in there. I said, bro, why would you step away from Flathead or from anything that we'd made together for CAO? That's just part of my legacy. So I still smoke. I still support these guys. I don't want any fucking damage to this. If I anything, you know what? I believe in myself. I can challenge anybody I want to challenge. I'm not into that, So I still smoke a lot of CLs, and I will always support that slide because I smoke the new ones. Why? Because I want to see what they're doing. I'm a cigar smoker. I want to be excited, and so if I get excited from a CL project or a West Tampa, you're a cigar smoker. That's it. If I can't make it a cigar to satisfy you, buy than me. Not, I'm not going to bitch about CIO. Well, you still like CIO?
Yeah.
How about the new one? I love it. How about my West Hip? I don't like it because it's not the same cigar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I have no problem with that. And I watch, Joe Cigar and CIO get my family and myself a great life. How would I ever bitch about the life that they gave me?
I can't.
It's just part of my DNA. So I cannot tell in my story about West Tampa and not mentioning CL, Joe Cigar, and Lagoria because it's part of my DNA.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, I think that is a big part of it is when people talk about people, your reputation, whether it be your legacy, whether it be past, it's like if they're talking about that guy had the biggest ego versus that he was such a nice guy. I mean, that's a losing situation, even though you're dead and gone, or if you're not even dead and gone, but you're past, like you went on to your next thing, you wouldn't have that success if it's like, man, no, I liked those cigars. Now that he's gone, I still like those cigars, but man, that guy had an ego. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't
We
think
met those guys.
they're
out there. They're
Oh,
out there for everybody to meet. And who that's got that guy to me is something else to somebody else. So I've never ever said. I've always said there's two or three ever make a cigar with, because their focus on is money, not tobacco. But the three or two guys I would love to have in my garage, to have a beer with, to have a smoke with, because everybody's a good guy, but your focus on your business is different.
Yeah.
My focus is, delivering a good cigar for the good price point. It's not about me. It's about the company. And other people. It's about them. It's not about the company. Look at me. Everybody's different. That's the beauty of, of going to the shops and meeting these characters, because they're like movies. No character is the same.
No.
Maybe I'm a comedy movie, and you go to Ernesto, it's a drama. But at the end of the day, I love both of the movies. Both of the movies are great, but they're different. They were different, but
that would be funny, actually, just to talk about the industry. Remember that you watched that documentary Hand Rolled?
Yes.
Yeah. I would love to see a documentary similar to that, but then you have like different themes for every interview in there.
Right.
Like the movie themes, you know what I mean?
Like for you to interview a rep or a cigar guy, it's so different.
Oh, yeah.
Their stories are different. The way they come across the screen is different. And we're not for everybody. So I don't kid myself that 100 people are going to watch this. They're all going to go away. Great guy. He's going to, bro, long in the fucking tooth. Talks about his family, But majority of the guys are fans of your show are going to go, yeah, that was interesting. Good fucking topic.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that is the fun part about it, especially part two, is getting kind of dialed into the person, not just the what are we smoking tonight? Tell me about the cigar. And it's like there's some value there, but we also have some listeners, and whether it be hundreds, thousands, whatever the episode might be, but it's one of those things that it's like, no, no, it was cool about the cigar and the whiskey, but like part two is really, really fascinating.
Right, exactly.
Because that is
you're peeling the onion. What you're doing
I was about to say
peeling the onion.
Yeah.
And you just say, hey, let's go deeper.
Yeah.
Deeper your core. And so that's sometimes, God, whoa, you're going, no, I'm not going there with you. Me? No, bro, let's go. I don't care what you want to, talk about.
Nate,
right.
you got anything else?
For closing remarks?
Yeah, let's do.
Yeah.
You ready to do closing remarks? Let's kind of round it out here. I don't want to keep him all night.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the things that Rick touched on that made me think of some of the things I've gone through in my current position, because with my old company working remote for the last 3 years, if I was having a bad day, no one else at the company knew because they weren't seeing me. If I was in the office and things weren't going well, like they could see it on my face. Working remote, gave people the opportunity to hide, I think, from some of that stuff. And one of the things that I've learned in my current position that I've had, there have been times where I've had negative interactions with customers or negative interactions with even coworkers. But I know that my primary focus has to be the next customer. So even if I have a bad experience during that day, the next time a customer walks into the store, I got to put all that aside and not necessarily put on a facade and, put on a happy face like nothing happened, but give my attention to that customer and, make that customer feel like they are the most important thing at that time. That's what my job is.
That's
because if I let something else that happened earlier that day have a negative impact on the next customer, that's going to leave a lasting impression on that customer. Maybe that customer doesn't want to come back because of the experience that they had with me. Now, that's not just hurting me, that's hurting the company I work for.
Sure.
So it's not just about you. It's also, bigger picture, those around you. So how you handle thing, and can go even larger than that. How you handle things when times are difficult, I think, says more about you than how you get through the easy times.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot more character development and character building during the more difficult times. It's the old saying, smooth seas make crappy sailors.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to go through some struggle in order to be able to learn and grow. So that way the mistakes you made in the past don't get repeated in the future. And the last thing I'll say about legacies, that was one of the first things that came to my mind as we were talking about this. Legacies are something that can be carried on or diverted from. It depends on where you want to go and where you've come from. There are some legacies that are worth carrying on. There are some that aren't. I think carrying on a positive legacy can kind of be easy because you just have to do what those before you did that created that legacy. Diverting from, say, something that was negative into a positive legacy, I think, is much more difficult because now you have to do things differently. There's no roadmap from your past to show you how to get there. You have to come up with that on your own, and you have to learn as you go. But if what you're going towards is more positive than what you were coming from, it's worth it.
Well said.
Well said. I agree with you. Because again, life is not pregnant for you. You need to discover what you are or who you are. And so, well said. Yeah, it's hard.
Well said.
It's hard.
I'll say this about it real quick, and it's, we hear it a lot in today's social media world, is like everyone's so concerned about what everyone else thinks about them. I think we've made a very quick 360 where people just say, "Oh, I don't care what everyone else thinks about me. I'm going to be me. I'm going to do all this stuff." And I will say that that's not a real good legacy to lead, to leave behind. I think I do care what people think about me. I'm not going to change everything I do, but that's part of it. Is that I use people that are important, that I value their opinions. That's who I do care what they think about what I like, how I'm living my life. The people that just want to, basically critique everything that I do, critique, how I live my life and how I interact with people. I don't really value that as much, but I take it as as criticism and with a grain of salt. It's just like getting bad reviews on Yelp. If you had a Yelp for your life and your interactions is like, oh yeah, no, I want to give a Yelp review on Rick Rodriguez. I want to give a Yelp review on Steve Crane or Nate Hale or anyone of you guys out there. I'm not going to say I'm going to change completely because someone left me a bad review, because I'm going to be like, all right, like how many other bad reviews? I look at this like Yelp. It's like, oh, this person just leaves bad reviews because they're just mad at the world or whatever. But I do value what other people think of me because I think that it molds how I interact with people. And I do slip up. Everyone slips up. If I leave a legacy of reputation, in a sense, it would be more of hopefully a positive one. I don't necessarily need, 300 car procession at my funeral, but the people that I value, I hope they're there. And I've said this before. If all goes well, I would like to have an open casket, but the bottom half would be like where my knees and feet are, be a flat coffin. And basically it would be like kind of an open bar, so you say your goodbyes, you pour yourself a drink, and you go and socialize and talk about the good interactions. You have those positive memories that will hopefully impact you. And I'm not living this super impactful life where, I'm going to be known internationally or anything like that. But the people that I value, I hope they're there. And I hope that, my legacy will live on. And I also hope that I have another 40 years in my life, that I will have a struggle to live my life intentionally, so that no matter where my life leads, it does have a positive impact, and my legacy will impact people differently based on their personal interaction. It's not about necessarily owning a business or being a famous person or anything like that, but it's like the people I interact with, they look back at those times. And I don't even have to be dead yet, but say I haven't talked to anyone and my name comes up, it's like I do want it to be positive. And sometimes positive can be the fact he didn't put up with people's shit. You know what I mean? Like those types of those impactful memories that I think I strive for. I think a lot of people strive for, but sometimes you get actually buried in a little bit of a quicksand where you can't get yourself out. And that's why I do value what other people think. I do surround myself with good people so that hopefully they also call me out on my shit and they get me out of that quicksand of my own personal dilemma, whatever it might be. And I think that's, constant interaction. The communication you're talking about, Ricky, it's just really living your life intentionally so that whatever the time is, you don't even have to be gone and people are just remembering your memory. It's the fact that it's like, oh yeah, no, he's a good guy. He's good to be around. It's however I'm living my life intentionally, that's how people remember me. But I don't want it to be necessarily a negative thing that like, no, he was just, his ego was too big. He was not a nice person to be around. I did not enjoy it. It's more of just what I'm putting out into the world. I hope people are accepting it and they can appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't care how big your stage is or small yours is, because again, I have a global stage. And so, but your father had a small stage and it was only connected to that little league team, but he has a legacy. And so I'm saying to you, you can't be that guy. I don't care about global. Be the legacy for your family.
Right.
Be the legacy for your business. Be a legacy for your smoke shop. I was always there for everybody. That's your purpose. So don't worry about how big my stage is compared to Ricky's. I had a stage well beyond, Jello Cigar or, West Tampa. When I was a carpet salesman, I had the same kind of rapport. Oh, bro, that guy can talk about bourbon. You make it like beautiful. But that's my stage. It was a very small stage. Now I'm in a global stage. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. And so if I could take away from this conversation, the second part, be your own legacy and the time and the space you have. That's it. If it's a big stage, be the same guy as a small stage. It can be just your family, just your business, just your baseball park, just your smoke shop. But you have a legacy that you can build off of, And I think everybody take advantage of that and build it, and go away, click your locks off, and they'll think about you, and a smile appears. And it's all I want.
Yeah.
All I want.
Well, thank you very much, Ricky. It's good seeing you again.
I love you guys.
Appreciate you taking it. Yeah, I love having you on. Absolutely. And thank Sara for us. I'll send her a message as well.
I will.
Hopefully we can get her on as well with you, or if she ever wants to do, and I know she's new to this, but if she ever wants to come on the show and just talk about where she's at in her journey,
I would love that.
Love to do that too.
I would love that. Yeah.
So,
and so just send me the address.
I will. I'll text you in the morning. Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. I love you guys, and
Thank you, Rick.
and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ricky. Cheers. Check out West Tampa, guys.